Peace and blessings, y'all. Peace and blessings. What's going on? It's Bravador live. Thank y'all for checking this out for a Saturday. In the background, the backdrop sounds of WQ Mix Worldwide Radio. The Disco 4, move to the groove. Move with the groove. We got a good show tonight, everybody. Yeah, I was talking to my man JayQuan the other day, and I'm trying to hear. Yeah, that sounds a lot better. I was talking to my man Jayquan the other day. I try to talk to Jay every now and then because I know he's very busy with Rock the Bells and everything he's doing. And if you don't know, you need to check him out. Excuse me. You need to check him on his Facebook page. But yes, he's doing quite a bit, a lot of things. And I try to keep in touch with him and talk to him. And we just got on the subject about, hip hop in Central Virginia. And that's a hot topic with me. And, you got these cats that are from outside, and there's nothing wrong from being outside and telling the history of a place, but you got to be accurate what it is that you're saying. And we're going to talk about a lot of that tonight on Bravador Live. And we're going to get real deep into Central Virginia hip hop. And just hip hop in general in Virginia, we're going to touch on as well. But right now, I also put in the post that if anybody wanted to join, they can. They can, send me an inbox if they want to come on the show with me and JayQuan. Yes, that's right. JayQuan is right here on the show. What's up, Jay?
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Can't hear you, Jay. You there?
All right, can you hear me now?
All right, hold on, everybody. Let's work this out a little bit. All right, Jay, you there?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, got you now. My fault. That was my fault. I didn't have you up. What's going on, man?
Everything's good, man. Everything's good. How you doing?
And, it's always great to have you on the show, man. Definitely is, And I was just explaining to everybody, I didn't know if you heard or not, but I was saying how we always get on the subject about Virginia hip hop, especially Central Virginia hip hop. That's so true and dear to us because of where we're from and where we live.
Mm-hmm.
And, we get questions all the time about our area of hip hop. We do. We get a lot of questions about it. And it's parts for the cause.
Internet keeps you interconnected, and so does the great music. The great music. WQ Mix Worldwide. Old school radio. New school attitude.
Thank y'all so much. In the background is Climax and Meeting in the Ladies Room on WQ Mix Worldwide Radio. And this is Bravador Live. I got my special guest again, JayQuan. Yeah, Jay, we were talking the other day about, hip hop in Virginia. And I was just saying a few minutes ago, before I brought you on stage, that it's okay to be from somewhere else telling the history of another place that you're not from, as long as you're accurate with the information. And that's something that you have prided yourself on quite often, especially you being a hip-hop historian, the hip-hop historian, I should add. And that's very important. I mean, look, there are other hip-hop historians out there, yes. But to me, the go-to guy is you. And it's not just because the history we have as being friends over the years, but it's just that if anybody out there checking this out, if you all would look at what he has done over the last 20, 25 years online, writing every single detail of an interview he did with him saying JayQuan or guest say Chuck D. Chuck D said this. So I'm saying all that to say you did, word for word, man. Nobody else was doing that.
Right.
Then you got other people starting to come out and do it now. And I've seen some people also share your things, which I know that are very cool with you. They're sharing your work. And then, of course, now you would Rock the Bells. All of that is because Jay has been very thorough in his information. Speak on that a little bit, Jay.
Well, yeah. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I take pride in being thorough, and I would do that anyway, but I have to kind of go the extra mile because, I talk a lot about the Bronx and Harlem and the boroughs and and where it started before it kind of spread everywhere else. So as a person that's considered an outsider in that way, I have to make sure that I have things more than correct, because the first, not that you care about the critique so much, because I have put the work in, but I mean, you don't want somebody to come at you and say this is incorrect. And on top of that, they say, he's not even from here. And I get that. I don't get it often, but every once in a while, somebody will say something on YouTube, or, they either say, oh, you too young, you weren't there, to know this, or you're not even from, you're not even a New Yorker. So, I want to make sure that my stuff is more than correct, because I want to be able to combat any of those critiques with, hey, I wasn't there, but Civil War historians weren't there for the Civil War, but they have talked to the right people and studied, and most importantly, accumulated the proper information to disseminate to the people. And that's what I've done. Most of the architects of hip hop are still here. And especially, as you said, 20 some years ago when I started, even more of them were here. And I've had extensive conversations with them, and I've been able to put together what it is that they've shared with me, and been able to to share it in a way that's that you can articulate it in a digestible way for people. So yeah, I feel I have to be thorough again, because I'm not from the place where it started, and I don't want that to be in some kind of way used against me. So I take pride in making sure that I'm telling you what I was told by not just one or two people, but a good amount of people told me that this is what happened, and I can kind of rely on that as truth, because so many people told me that.
And that's the thing, is that those ones that were saying you weren't from the Bronx or just New York, period, which you've clearly told people, I know for a fact, hey, I'm not from here. I'm from Virginia.
Right.
I'm from Richmond, Virginia. More pinpointedly, I'm from Richmond, Virginia. They know that. But the others that are criticizing or have criticized, have they had the conversations? No, they haven't had the conversations that you've had over the years. Because if they did, they would have done it first. So that's the way I see it. Now, Jay, you know me. I'm one that I don't bite my tongue when it comes to hip hop. I don't. I speak on what I know. Okay. Because I've learned so much. I thought I knew quite a bit, but I did not. Listening to you, and then being in the company of Melly Mel, Shy Rock, Scorpio, when we were all together, yourself, we were all together last year or year
That's
before last. It was when I forgot when it was, but it was not too long ago.
Yeah, year before last. Time is flying, but I think it was year before last.
Yeah, to be in their company and to hear them speak about it and what have you. I mean, I learned so much that has not that I was not able, that I never knew about. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I just did not know. So I've learned a lot, man, and whatnot. Also, Jay, I have a surprise, but I think for some reason, he's not coming through. And we're talking about hip hop in Central Virginia and what have you. I got Stan Brooks.
Oh, wow.
and Stan, if you can hear me, we see you came in, but we don't have a video on you or audio on you. So can you try to go out and come back in? They will need, you need to reconnect your mic and your camera before you can be added.
Well,
so you might want to check that.
As he reconnects, I just want to say before he comes on, hopefully he'll be able to successfully connect. Stan Brooks was a big part of my growing up, man. Him working on Kiss, and those weekend mixes, some of my, I still remember some of those mixes, that he did. Is, like the first time I heard 5 Minutes of Funk was on the radio, and he was the one to play it. And so many other, yep. Pivotal records that would become great. It was definitely Stan Brooks with that mix. And then the Master Mix contest, I've talked his ear off about those things over the years. So yeah, man, Stan Brooks is a legend, a Richmond, VA legend for sure. Hopefully he can connect.
Yes, it'd be great. Stan, yeah, you need to connect your mic and your camera. Definitely need to do that, man, and then we can bring you on. He's at work also, so I know he's probably taking a break to do this, and we appreciate him coming in for this. once he gets everything squared away. But I'm saying, I want to say this about Stan also to add to our conversation, what we're talking about. And this is about people knowing Kiss 96 was a very special station. It was on for a short time.
Yes.
But while it was on, it made such an impact on me, Fresh. I'm sure Mad Mixer, all of us that are in hip hop, because of the shows that you said that were on there. But not only that, Stan was the one that we learned how to mix on broadcast equipment as the Z-Rock crew on WKIE.
Mm.
And the good thing about it, Jay, was that the exact same board that when he got to Magic 99 he used, that's the exact same board that was at WKIE.
Oh, wow.
How could that be? How could that have not meant to be? I guess.
Are you saying the same model or the same board? You're saying
model, the same exact model that we learned from Stan on at Magic when he went to Magic after Kiss 6 disbanded. Oh my gracious. I mean, it was just like, that's the same board that Stan used. And me and Fresh was like, we got this. And we did. And we did for that part.
Oh, for sure.
You know.
For sure.
It's WQX Worldwide Radio in the background, everybody. Dexter Wanzel and Life on Mars, providing the backdrop sounds. We can't let it breathe, y'all. You know we cannot. Facebook does not like that. So yeah, Jay, this is Bravador Live, by the way. Anybody just tapped in, please like and share this. You're gonna want to hear the rest of this of what we're talking about tonight, and hopefully Stan will be able to chime in with us also. Stan Brooks from Kiss 96 from back in the day, but Kiss 96 was just that station that kind of built the foundation for Fresh and I as far as on broadcast radio and DJing live on broadcast radio. A lot of people thought we had the two turntables and there were 1200s we had at KIE, but we had to use the broadcast mixer. At that time they were not letting us bring a mixer in there. It wasn't until maybe a year later when Fresh and I would every now and then we used to call it the meltdown with 4 turntables on the air. All we did was where the reel-to-reel was, we disconnected the reel-to-reel and hooked that to the mixer. And I'd have my 1200s, or Fresh would have his 1200s in there, and then the 1200s for KIE would be in there, and then we just would do 4 turntables on the air. We did that every now and then and whatnot. So that was really, really cool and stuff. Jazzy G, what's going on, man? Peace and blessings. Jazzy G's on, man.
What's up, Jazzy G? What's up, bro?
Salute, brother. Salute.
Yeah, I hope all is well with Jazzy G. I know he had some complications recently, and I know he was battling some things. So I hope he is victorious in his battle with those things. What's up, Jazzy G? That's my man.
Absolutely, my man. We're sending positive vibes and blessings to you, Jazzy G. No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Tim Casey, what's going on, man? Shout out to you also, my man.
Tim Casey, what's up, bro?
Cricket's on here as well. Hey, homie.
Cricket.
Man,
what's up, Cricket?
Man, Cricket, stay off Facebook picking with people. Leave people alone, man. Leave them alone. Man, he go hard with people, man. I tell you, but that's our brother.
Cricket,
what's
wow.
up, Aaron Turner? Peace and blessings to you, Aaron.
What's going on, Aaron? What's happening with you, bro?
Yeah, so it's Jay. I'm gonna run some names down. Spaz, Silk, DJ Silk, the Royal Sound Crew. I mean, that's the West End crew. Heavy
West End crew, yeah.
Did you know Lonnie Bell, the original Lonnie B? Did you know him?
I may have, but not by that name. Was he West End too?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, very briefly, and put a pin in that because I don't think I knew him by that name. But I was first. My grandmother lived in the West End, so right. I grew up across from Bird Park, Meadow Street. So that was my stomping grounds, especially in the summer times. I spent a lot of time in the West End. But for middle school, I was bused to Albert Hill.
Right.
And that's where I really got my chops as an MC. I was already rhyming. I've been rhyming since elementary school, which is, of course, very young. But, that's when Wild Style came out and all of those great 80s things. And I really started getting my chops as an MC. It was in the cafeteria at Albert Hill. So I was in the proximity of Silk, Spaz, and all the people, brothers that you're naming, Idlewood Avenue. Later on, my grandmother would live, at 300 South Randolph. So I always had a West End connection, even though I was South Side. So all of those cats that you're talking about, I mean, I've been after Silk for the longest time trying to get that brother to interview. That's my man, Silk. I'm not calling him out. I'm just saying, he's a very private. He's a very private brother like myself. So I understand his reluctance to get on camera and do all those things. But I just wanted to talk to the brother because I can remember being in Skateland, and he's one of the first people I saw cut with his shoe and all the crazy tricks he would do. And of course, rest in peace, DJ Spaz. Incredible DJ. He lived down there by my aunt. Was it Amelia Street School that they lived? That was kind of near where they were, but that
Street
area
and Maymont. Amelia Street was like on Amelia Street, and then you had Maymont right down the street.
Right down the street.
Throw.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I knew them from, like I said, I knew them from going to school over there. I knew them from the family that I had over there. Of course, the Royal Sounds crew. So I spent a lot of time in the West End. But tell me a little bit about Lonnie Bell. I'm not. Oh, and Cutmaster JT. What's up, Cutmaster JT? That's another one that
Matter of fact, I communicated with JT maybe a couple months ago. I communicated with JT.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, Mello C called me the other day, and we've been playing phone tag. So if he's seeing this, man, I'm trying to reach you, Mello. But Lonnie Bell is related to Keith Bell, who is Ski of the Royal Sound crew.
Okay.
So Lonnie was out there back in the day a little bit as well and stuff. Not taking anything from Lonnie Battle, and stuff, but I had forgotten all about Lonnie. And then he said, man, you're doing all your things. You remember Lonnie B, the original Lonnie B. I said, original. I said, it's Lonnie. I said, oh, snap. And I remembered he called himself Lonnie B at the time, back then. I mean, this is 84, 85, back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's in relation to Keith K. Ski of the Royal Sound crew.
Okay.
That's his cousin. They're both Bells. They're both Bells and whatnot. So, Lonnie, I saw him. He used to, I think he still works at the airport. And I ran into him. I was was I taking a flight or was I coming out of a flight? It was one of the other. Oh no, I was picking my wife up from a flight.
Mm-hmm.
She had came in and I saw him and we spoke and we talked for a minute and everything. But and also you would see Lonnie every now and then. He would be security at some of the events. He was one of the better ones, to run into at the time.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably somebody that I've probably seen him before, like I said, just in the time that I spent over there, just don't remember him by name. But like I said, and whenever anyone talks to me about, hip hop in Richmond, I always tell them that, I always give props to the West End again, because, it wasn't as much regional, whatever back then. Everybody was where they were from. But, I was from Southside, but I could very, very confidently say, for some reason, the West End was a little more advanced than us as far as like the crews. And you got to remember, we were kids too. And I'm talking about when I was going to Albert Hill, I'm talking about I was like 12, 13. I didn't have a job, wasn't old enough to do anything but have a paper route yet. So Spaz and all those guys, and you and Fresh too, were just a couple years older than me. So, you guys had equipment and you guys were already more established than what a lot of us in the South Side, would end up being. We had some, we definitely had MCs in the South Side and things like that, but the West End was definitely a few steps ahead. I can't really speak to too much to, other parts of town, but I do remember that, I learned a lot, from my times in the West End. So I always speak on that whenever I speak on hip hop, local hip hop.
One thing I got to give to the West End as well is that, with the Royal Sound crew, when I started hanging out with them and started doing things with them in the studio, they taught me some tricks. They taught me some things, and I learned quite a bit from them. I also learned from, as far as on turntable situations, I learned from DJ Skill of the Alliance. I learned a lot from him when I would be in Brooklyn recording. I'd see him on the tables. I remember we went to his house one day, and I was doing some spinning, and he was doing some spinning. He was showing me some stuff. He said, no, try this. And as far as backspinning and stuff, it was him and the Royal Sound crew, how I was able to learn the art of backspinning, or some people say flashing from one record to the other.
Right, sure.
Backspinning, and whatnot. So that's how I learned from the two of them. And now getting around from going out of the West End, we're going over to Churchill. Of course, Z-Rock crew was over in the Churchill, but you had others in the Churchill. You had the Churchill the Churchill crew, my man Al Will, and whatnot, Dundee and all of them. You got them over there.
Churchill Funk Crew. They had that great master mix on Kiss that I'm still trying to track down. That's one thing I've been bugging Stan Brooks about for years is that that Churchill Funk Crew master mix. But I'm sorry. You go ahead. The other Churchill crew.
It's all good, but it's all good. I mean, Churchill had some folks. I mean, DJ Quick at Richmond's DJ Quick was from over in Churchill.
Yeah.
And everything. There were a lot of crews in Churchill as well. I mean, it kind of escapes me some of the other ones I knew over there as well and stuff. But I mean, down in Rainbow and Fulton, you had a couple of crews down there. I mean, you had them, and this is going to get me around to, what I'm getting ready to segue into. And then we go on the north side. Of course, you had Grandmaster Master J. You had him.
Certainly.
And see, I want to say this. Regardless if Dub Shine, peace and blessings, man. I'm sorry, man. I see you on deck and stuff.
Dub Shine, it's been a minute. What's up, bro?
Maisha Hendricks, one of the daughters of Jimi Hendrix, and a good friend of mine, is on here as well. Salute to you, Maisha. Thank you so much.
Dope.
No matter what happened with him, whether it's with the militia thing he was doing or whether it's with that DJ thing where everybody was calling him fake and whatever and then this and that and this. Back in the days, he did his work. Back in the days, he was an MC. That you battled him, you better be on your game. Regardless of how he was rhyming or where he got his rhymes from, he was sharp with his.
Yeah. Unfortunately, some of the stuff that happened recently, it definitely has kind of muddied up his actual legacy. And I've been approached by a few people about him, people outside of Richmond, because they don't know. They only know the current stuff. And if you only know the current stuff, then it takes credibility away from his original works here. So I can say again, going back to Kiss, that's why I hope Stan's able to get on. Kiss was one of the early FM stations here. Of course, we had, I think Magic might have been the first, but coming out of like WANT, WENZ, WKIE, the AM stations, FM, of course, was a big deal because it sounded better and everything else at the time. So, had Magic 99, but with Kiss, they were a little more welcoming of local talent, especially with the master mix competition. You could make a tape and send it in, and Grandmaster J just had these incredible master mixes. And he was heavily dubbing them joints, because he had 4 or 5 turntables going at the same time. Whatever he was doing, the mixes was incredible, and he was rhyming his ass off over the mixes. And I'll be very honest, I was hard to impress back then. I was a young cat, but I was nice with the things that I was into, and I was into DJing and MCing, and he was nice with both. Especially in those master mixes. In fact, I still got his master mixes on tape, and I still go back and revisit them.
He gave them to me on CD as well.
Oh, wow.
He gave me some other ones he had as well that nobody heard. And I've kept them, in confidence. I've kept them and have not broadcast them anything, but I never broadcast anything that he did, without his permission. But here's the thing: getting to that part about him just doing everything that he was doing at that point. He was the last one to win the last master mix before Kiss 96 unfortunately went off the air. Because they were the first 24-hour FM hip hop station. They were, and that's why I wish Stan was on here. He could give us a little bit more insight.
I'm trying to remember who he went against, because in his rhyme he said something about this other DJ that he was battling, and I can't. Of course, I can't remember it now. But yeah, he was nice with those, and me and him had some history. We had some negative history because my name was Mike Master J. He was Grandmaster J. My name was Mike Master J. We ended up making a record, a couple years after. I think his master mix might have been 85. We made our record in 87, and he approached me a couple times. But he approached me like we was on stage, like we was on stage, and he came and got on stage and approached me, about this name thing.
Shimaraza Park, wasn't it?
Shimaraza, yep. Because I think Sam the Beast was out there because he had the artist that had the Silver Sucker song.
Right.
Remember Silver Sucker? Right.
Yeah.
And we was opening up for that cat, I believe. We was at Shimaraza Park, and he got on stage, which was, incredibly disrespectful back then. And he had my DJ was Scratch Master D, and he was with a guy named Scratch Master
Delman.
D.
He was with Delman.
Delman. Right.
Yep, he was with Delman.
so yeah, it was a little friction with that. And then, another time, like we were all at a hotel. It may have been the time we were at the Radisson for something. I don't know if we were doing a show, but
No, it was the Holiday Inn on Franklin.
Okay, you're right. You're right.
It was at the Holiday Inn on Franklin.
You're right.
And y'all were there. You, Divine, myself, Dink was there. And he came and approached y'all, and it was in the lobby. I remember the whole thing like yesterday.
He did, right. So it never got into a physical thing. It got into a very harsh back and forth verbal thing. And I wasn't worried about anything. I had Divine. Divine is my brother. He's from Brownsville, and Divine is crazy. So like,
well, he lives. Dink pushed up on him. I remember that.
Yeah, Dink was more the quiet. Those were like my, Divine and Dink was like my big brothers, man. And Scratchmaster D. For those that don't know who Dink is, but those are like my big brothers. But Dink was more quiet, but Divine, he is a wild guy. He lived for conflict at that time. So I wasn't,
never ran, never will.
Right. So I wasn't worried about anything. But I actually ran into Grandmaster Jay right before COVID at the National Hip Hop Museum in DC. It might have been our opening. It was. He was there at the opening, and we talked, and it was nothing to squash. I mean, we was literally kept. I was probably 15, 16 when all that was going on. So yeah, by the time me and him met, I'm in my 50s, and we actually laughed about it. We took a few pictures together. We exchanged phone numbers, and he had actually seen what I was doing online and congratulated me. And long before he was doing his militia thing, we were able to connect and talk about some things. So it was a friendly competition and never even got to escalated enough, for me to make a diss record about him, because I did going back and forth with a few Richmond cats. In fact, we had made the joint Kings Lose Crowns that we did when I was battling a cat named Reggie Reg from Southside.
I remember
what's up, Reggie Reg? And he went to George Wythe when I was going to Huguenot after JHW. And I remember he said something about me on a song. It was a tape that I heard in the neighborhood, and I wrote like a whole. He mentioned something about our crew, and I lived for battles back then. So I just wrote a whole song about him.
Well, I remember we played both of them.
You played them on the radio
because you was like, "Play it, man, play it," because I got one of them over come back, and then we played yours, and it was Kings Lose Crowns.
Kings Lose Crowns, yeah. So
I remember that, and then that was it. That was it.
That was it. So yeah, man, that was fun, man. That was when nothing was really escalating to anything physical. I just wanted I just wanted cats to know, what I was with the mic device. And if it got to anything physical, it got to something physical. But like that really wasn't happening a lot back then. And like I said, man, I was a young cat. When we made our record, I was I think I was 16, about to be I was about to be 17. So I'm a sophomore in high school. So it's and a lot of those cats, like I said, were considerably older than I was. So right. It was. But those were fun days. Fun days in Richmond. But you're about to go to. I think you said you went to Northside with Grandmaster Jay.
Right, with Northside. You had Grandmaster Jay over Northside. You had, of course, Mike B, Mr. Melody, Funk Motor.
Of course.
To me, the king of Northside at that point. And what have you. So you had a lot of groups and guys that were nice with it over there.
Sure.
And then, of course, later years, you had Diallo, you had Disorganized Union, you had them over there. You had Phil Man and NS Pot. May Phil Man rest in peace, continue to rest in peace. Let me tell you, if they had got out, oh my goodness, they were like Richmond's NWA. I mean, but they were nice with it. I mean, really, really, really nice with it. My man C Joint, he was nice with it. I mean, man, you had a few guys over there, man. DJs, you had Mike C, Richmond's Mike C, you had him. I mean, you had a lot of people, that were doing things. And, of course, you had the legendary Ebony Island over there. They used to call it the EIC, and stuff. So you had that over there. You had the Night Gallery over there. The theater is still on Brooklyn Park. I hope somebody does something with it and don't tear it down, because that's an iconic spot over there. And I'm trying to get to see who it is that owns it, to see if they can put something historic right there and around the corner from where Ebony Island was. And that, because those are historic spots They really are. So it would be nice for them to put something there, and what have you. Even though the neighborhood has changed, it doesn't matter. They should be able to do something like that. And then, of course, out here going out to Glen Allen, you even had crews out there. Junior Funk Machine, we started out there. You had the guys in on Shewall Drive. You had the guys out. You had Laurel West. You had DJs out there. You had Bang Bang Cousins that was DJing. You had Hugh Ron Jackson. You had these guys from over in Broad Meadows. They were actually from Jersey. They called themselves the Beat Boys, and they were really nice with rhyming, and stuff. So you had them out there. And then you go, we went to Churchill, we went to North Side, South Side. We go, of course, we just, hit about South Side as well. And then, of course, South Side, we can't forget about Lonnie B. We can't forget about,
1 second. I got to cut you off because it just came to me. I knew it was going to come to me. The guy, the cat that Grandmaster Jay was battling, his name was Scratchmaster Magic. Now, I don't know who Scratchmaster Magic was.
He was down in Williamsburg, I believe.
Okay. He had sent the tape to Kiss, and he was going against Jay. And I don't remember how good his mix was. Everybody who sent the mix into Kiss, I didn't hear no whack mixes on there. But Jay was just levels above everybody. And he was going against a cat named Scratchmaster Magic. And yeah. So I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I mean, we're discussing it, man. Throw in. You can remember, throw it in, man.
Coming back to South Side. So with Lonnie B. So a real quick history. When my ninth grade of my first year of high school was JHW. So when you talk about the Churchill cats, I had a whole lot of connection to those because a lot of the, all the cats from the projects was coming over the South Side to Huguenot. So my ninth grade year was wild. That was a year Lottie. I never forget the summer Lottie Dottie.
Yeah.
And
remember the show that we did at Huguenot?
The talent show.
The talent show.
That's how I met Fresh.
I wasn't even supposed to be there. And I was there for Fresh. And everything. The security guy let me in because I'm older than Fresh. I'm out of high school, and then I knew Mr. Mayo over there. He knew me too. So I got in there. I remember that because everybody. I forgot Terry's name. It was Terry always picking with us, like trying with rhyming, like in front of us, clowning and stuff,
right,
and whatnot. But yeah, you were saying about
no. So that's how I met Fresh at that talent show. But that was ninth grade. Right. So that was JHW, and so again we had Gilpin Court, all the courts were bussed over to, and that's when we met the Shock Box, our human beatbox, rest in peace. So we had and he was from like over there where Kroger Spot is. They call it Manchester now that the gentrification is here, but we didn't call it Manchester at that point. Right over there where the courthouse is. I think they called it Blackwell at that time. Is what it was. What it would have been considered.
We called it Blackwell.
We called it Blackwell. So, but anyway, rest in peace, Shockbox for sure. So, we had that was like a perfect year, because I'm used to my South Side upbringing, and then we got like, at that time I'm actually hanging in all of the courts, so I'm learning a whole lot, not about rhyming, just a lot of stuff I shouldn't have been exposed to at the time.
Right.
And thank goodness, things went the way they went because I was in a lot of places where I ain't had no business as a Southside cat in these places. But anyway, so that's that first part of Huguenot. Then by the time I graduate, Lonnie B, and this is long before the Super Friends, but it was Lonnie B, it was B Caesar, his name was Rodney, I forgot his last name, and Mad Money Merc. So this is a generational thing. This was like our era was like the drum machines and all of that. Run DMC is still hot. Public Enemy is coming in. But once me and Divine become the First Sons and Dink goes off and joins a group called Tech Nine, the next Southside cats that are coming up is like Lonnie B and those guys. Before, like I said, he meets Mad Skills and all that, they're down with he's down with B Caesar and Mad Money Merc. In fact, I remember getting them their first promotional photos. I connected them with the photographer. And I remember, going to B Caesar's house and, showing him some things about sampling and giving them records to sample and sitting in there and kind of watching them guys come up. And then, like I said, it's a generational thing where I'll be very honest. At that time, I was like, okay, these cats is nice with it, and you can feel the baton pass. It's not a jealousy thing of these guys about to knock us off, but like we had already made the transition from the 2 Def crew to the First Sons, and we had our time. Everybody has their zenith, and we had our zenith. So I saw these guys coming up, and everything that Lonnie and the Super Friends were able to do, I knew they'd do it because I saw the embryo of that about to happen, and I was very glad for all the things that that happened for them.
Yeah, I was talking about Lonnie, but I can't forget Drake. Drake, another Southside cat, and really is blown up. And I'm also shouting out now that I'm seeing my man Booney from American Express is on here as well. Peace and blessings, Booney.
Oh, Booney.
Yeah. And Sty is on here. What's up, Sty?
Sty, what's up, Sty?
Hey, Sty, I'm sending you a message, man. I'm sending you a message, man. And I'm sending you an invite, Sty, if you want to jump on here.
While you do that, man, you said that you mentioned Booney, and I want people to know, Booney is like you said, American Express, where that was Honey Bun and Booney,
right?
Rest in peace. And that was that Great Human Beatbox record, and that was one of the first Richmond rap records behind MCI. What's up, Freedom Born, my man AMC.
Absolutely.
MCI had the Commandments, and then August Moon, rest in peace, started to have his stable of groups on Urban Beat. Right. And Cooley T and Mahogany, and what was the brother? There's another brother that had a real
Cool Carl.
Cool Carl. I wonder what happened to Cool Carl, because he was
actually from down in Tidewater. He was from down in Newport News.
I never knew
down there.
I never knew where he was from. I never saw him, never met him, but I always thought that he was nice, and he had this Rakim kind of cadence. I'm eager to rap, so plug the mic in the jack. I mean, that dude was. I always wanted to meet that dude, and like I said, I was not easily impressed back then. But when I heard his record, I was like, who the hell is this dude? This dude is nice with it. But getting back to American Express,
too, man. Nice guy, man. I mean, he was a nice guy.
Yeah, I wish I had the opportunity to link with him. But yeah, Honey Bun and Booney, man, that American Express record. I mean, that's one of them times where that's one of the times I remember where I was the first time I heard that record. And I was like, okay. That was right before we made ours. And there's a few pivotal times in Richmond where I was like, okay, we're going to make a record. And one of them was when MCI came out, Master the Conversation Incorporated. Like I said, what's up, my man AMC, my man Jay. And I'm trying to think of the other brother's name. You just interviewed them when we was down at the Croker spot. I don't know how. Don't remember that brother's name as much as I used to see him. But anyway,
you're talking about he used to be part of the Floor Controllers as well.
No, that's Jay. That's Jay.
Oh, that is Jay. Okay.
That's Jay. They were going to George Whip. But there's another. He was one of the first 5%ers that I knew, and I'm trying to think. He uses Righteous name as an MC name, but either way,
talking about Everlasting. Yeah,
Everlasting. Right. Those brothers were the ones that got me into, that really got me into the 5%. We're talking about 85, 86, when I wasn't sure what was what with it. But so I didn't mean to.
And the 5% Nation is a very, very important part of this thing we call hip hop and hip hop culture.
Oh, 100%.
It very much so. Rakim, when he came on the scene, how things were changing, 5%. Big Daddy Kane, 5%. Brand Nubian, 5%. Wu-Tang, 5%. I could go on and on and on and on. King's Son, 5%. So
yeah, Poor Righteous Teachers. I mean, it was a whole era. I don't know if you said Poor Righteous, but Poor Righteous.
You filled in. That's fine.
And yeah, Just Ice. It was a whole era where
YZ.
Yeah, YZ. Big. What's up, YZ? Me and YZ been talking about connect. It's funny. I didn't know this at the time. YZ was in a group. I knew after the fact. YZ was in a group called 2 Def. We were 2 Def crew, which we had no idea that these cats out of Jersey were called 2 Def. And Dink actually had the record. He said, "Look, it's another 2 Def." But we got our name from the 2 Live crew. And I tell you a very short story. It's not gonna hop on.
I just sent him a link, so hopefully he will.
I tell you a short story. With 2 Def, like at one, we went through many iterations of our group, but at one point it was me and people in Southside know Scratch Master D as Dink.
Right.
And Scratch Master D, I lived in, at the time, what was called Westover Terrace Apartments. He lived in Westover Village, and it was like a 15-minute walk. So I would walk to his house, practice. What's up to my man ICJ? He goes by the name of ADAP right now, DJ ADAP.
Right.
He's all around the city, DJing everywhere. That's Jody Tyler, supreme athlete. Yep. Everybody know him in the city. That was my man growing up since second grade. All of us were too deaf. But me and Dink we used to listen. We used to just sit around and listen to music. We listened to DJ Cash Money, DMC contest.
Cash Money, shout him out, man. He's come
of
down
course,
here,
my good brother Cash Money.
And he's come because down here for reunions and everything.
Definitely. So the reason that our crew, especially me and Scratch Master D, were the way we were, because I DJ'd and MC. I was much more into MCing, and even though Scratch Master D didn't MC, he understood what made a great MC. So we just sit around listening to records, and he could understand why I was excited about Big Daddy Kane.
1 second. Hey, Sty's trying to figure out. Sty, check your inbox. The link is in your inbox, Sty. Just hit that, and then I'll bring you on. It's that simple. Just check your inbox, because I didn't tell him I meant to let him know that I was inboxing him. So yeah, just check your inbox, Sty, and you can come right on. But go ahead, Jay.
So me and Scratch Master D just used to sit around and just listen and critique records, and we would listen to Mixmaster Ice, and we would listen to my brother from the 2 Live crew, Mr. Mix, and that's when it was just Mr. Mix and Fresh Kid Ice. Rest in peace, Fresh Kid Ice. And
I remember. Oh yeah, that was before Brother Mike.
Way before that.
Yeah,
they had a record called What I Like. It had a yellow label. It had a record called What I Like. And me and Scratch Master,
2 orange guys.
Oh, the 2, yep. They had skull caps on. So so we would just sit and listen to Mr. Mix, and we just be mesmerized. And we was just trying to find a name. And I was like, well, it's 2 of us. Even though there were more of us, me and Dink were always together. I said, it was 2 of us. Let's be 2 Deaf. And, they 2 Live, let's be 2 Deaf. So we were the 2 Deaf crew. And then when we added more people, it was TOO. But in Jersey, they had a group. It was YZ and some more people. And they had a group that they called 2 Def, TOODEF. And like I said, that's something.
I actually talked to him through inboxing, because I wanted him to come on the show also, but I never caught back up with him and what have you. But I need to, because I like to have him. Yeah, definitely would like to have him.
Yeah, I saw him in Atlanta a couple years ago, and we've been trying to connect. We've been playing phone tag for a minute.
Guess who's here? Stan the Man Brooks.
Stan Brooks, what's up?
Stan, what's going on, man?
Yo, first off, I'm on break, so I have very short time. I've only got like 10 minutes, but I do have to say 2 things, present and past, for my man Brad. Z-Rock, you have no idea how much it influenced me at that time. And for the present, Jay, I love what you're doing. I love your content. I want more animation. Animation's like ridiculous. But anyway, other than that, going through some health issues, but life is good, man. Life is good.
Man, we love you, Stan. Man, look, you were the one that Fresh and Anthony and I watched you at Magic on that board, on that turn knob board, and we saw the tricks you did on those broadcast techniques. They weren't 1200s at Magic. They had the broadcast ones, and they're wood grain. And I mean, they're very expensive if you want to get them now. They're very, very expensive. But we saw you do that, Stan, and that what segued us when we got to KIE. And we wanted to say, we never told you this, man, but thank you so much for embracing us like you did, because it made us who we were and everything, Stan. So, much love to you, man. Whatever you're going through, we're sending you positive vibes and blessings. We know you're going to beat it, because you're the picture of health, man. Every time I look, you're in the gym. So, we're with you, man. We're definitely with you.
You definitely were a great influence on me. Like I said, I remember the first time, like one of the first times I heard Buffalo Gals, it was you, mixing that and 5 Minutes of Funk. That whole, that dance party, the after hours joint, that was just such an influence. Even on some of Madonna's earliest club records, I heard you playing them on the air,
Kiss
man.
96.
So
Kiss 96 was like, they were like the radio version of what MTV wanted should have
There
been.
you go. That was it right there.
They were the radio version of what MTV should have been at that time.
Props,
They really are.
Thanks again, and props again. Got to spread the love. First and foremost, as far as Kiss and also Magic, Steve Crumley.
Oh, wow. Yes.
He
Steve
basically
Crumley
gave me, so much freedom to do whatever I wanted to do. And, that is what it is. But also going back, when I went to Kiss the very first time, I didn't know anything about hip hop. I didn't know anything about, rap. I learned from Tony Michaels.
Tony
I saw
Michaels.
what he did, and I just, copied what he did. I'd never worked on a mixer. I learned on that radio board. So that's all I knew. So the few times that I got out on a Sunday night to actually get behind the mixer, I was completely lost. I was, what the hell is that? So it's like the flip side of what you guys were doing. You guys already knew that, but when you get on the radio equipment, it's a whole different ball game. There's no
damn sure is.
switch. There's like, it's like, so all I do was broadcast stuff.
Stan, I tell this story all the time, and I got to shout out Big Sty is here too. Big Sty, we gonna hold tight with us, bro. Thank you so much for being here, man.
I'm learning, man. I want to hear this.
All right, listen.
Keep talking, Stan. Keep talking.
Stan, listen. When Jazzy Jeff came to KIE, I've got pictures of it, thanks to Fresh. Jazzy Jeff got on the ones and twos. He couldn't get down like he really wanted to because he didn't know it, but he did good though. He did real good. The only DJ, the only very popular DJ at the time that really, really threw down on that broadcast equipment and just learned it like that was Bobcat from the LA Posse. And I have it recorded, but when he was cutting on the air, I got it recorded. Nice. And he went to cut on there, and I was like, I'm looking at him and I'm seeing what he's doing. He said, because he asked me at first, he said, is it tracking good? I said, yeah, it does pretty good for us. I mean, you check it out. He said, yeah, it's tracking good. He said, give me a second. So it was I'm Bad. It was I'm Bad was playing. And he get on there and he caught LL's second verse and just hit it. And then Flav hits the doggone mic because Flav was a broadcaster at the time. He said, that's right, Bobcat, what you got for me? It was, man, I got it all on tape. And
we gotta hear that.
But hey, it's coming. It's coming. But Stan, it's because of you we were able to make all of that happen. And thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Very welcome.
100%.
Again, like I said, you guys were influenced me along with a few others.
And we got to shout out Terry Lewis. We got to shout out Terry Duran Lewis.
Duran.
Yeah, we got to shout him out, because he was a pivotal part of helping the Z-Rock crew get where they are. And we haven't forgotten that. So we got to shout out and salute to Terry Duran Lewis. Absolutely.
Those were great radio days, man.
A lot of love for Richmond, man. A lot of love for Richmond.
Definitely. And we got love for you, Stan. Listen,
definitely.
We know you're on your break. We want you to rest, and because we know you're at work, man. Let's stay in touch, Stan. I'll try to reach back out to you tomorrow sometime. Okay, where are you at now? What city are you in?
I'm in Phoenix, the Urban Inferno.
Oh, you're in Phoenix?
Yes, I'm in Phoenix.
Why did I think you were in Baltimore?
I was in Baltimore up until 4 years ago. I left.
Okay. So you did go back to Baltimore. You went back.
Went back for a short time.
Okay.
So now I'm back out west and still trying to go even further west, but we'll see what happens there.
Well, listen, you take care of yourself, man. I'll be in touch with you. And thank you for being here, man. We appreciate you. We love you, man.
No worries. And one last thing, and
yes, sir.
All of you feel exactly the same. I'm just an addict addicted to music.
Yeah.
My man.
That's right.
Man, thank you, Stan, for being here again. Man, that was great. That was great. That was great. That was great. Stop. What's going on, man?
Oh man, I'm enjoying this. This needs to happen more often, man. I run into too many young cats that don't know the hip hop history in Richmond, and too many people trying to redefine the history of hip hop in Richmond.
And see, that's the thing that pisses me off. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say this.
It pisses me off
because first of all, I did a documentary on Central Virginia hip hop. Well, you might as well call it a docu-series because it's
Right.
more than 3 minutes. It's more than 3 hours long. So someone schooled me to this, Jay. Someone schooled me to this. They said, how long is your documentary? I said, man, it's 3 hours and some change. And the revised version I'm working on is probably going to take it up to 3.5 to 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
He said, that's not a documentary. He said, that's a docu-series.
Right.
Yeah.
And I never thought of that. I never thought of that. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'll take it. You know what I'm saying?
But
But
God bless you for that, though. But God bless you, Brav
Certainly.
and JayQuan. You guys are the cultivators of this culture and this history in the city, man. And we need y'all because again, these cats don't know. I don't know where the disconnect started or how it got started.
I do,
but it's somewhere in between the late 90s to the onward. They just totally forgot about what was going on here.
They
or
did.
Somebody, or they've been, and a lot of them being misinformed about what Richmond hip hop was.
They were misinformed. They were misinformed. Number one, they were misinformed. It was done on purpose, and people have selective amnesia.
Yeah, man, it's
they
weird,
got selective amnesia because people don't want to give props to where it's deserved, and those that that's what has happened. That's one of the
what happened today, man.
Yeah, I just saw. I think he might be going out and coming back in because I think his signal was freezing and whatnot. So I think he's going to come back in. But it's something where, how can I say it, Stott? And I try to lift myself away from it because, I'm older now. But I fought that fight back in the late 90s, in the 2000s. I was fighting that fight constantly. Constantly, I was fighting that fight. Here you go. Jay's back.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, right.
No, it's all right.
No, you good. You good, bro.
No, but I was fighting that fight, and Jay knows. Jay, you know the fight I've been fighting, and we've been fighting that fight about making sure the history is correct.
Yeah.
The history was correct for hip hop in Central Virginia.
Right.
We made sure that. I was, and I'm not going to look. The brothers,
and y'all did it. Y'all been doing a great job of that, man.
Well, thank you.
It's just I don't, and the misinformation, from what I'm understanding, is coming from people who weren't even active in the music scene in hip hop, who are telling these young cats, "Oh, Richmond didn't do that. We didn't do that in Richmond." I'm like, who? And they telling me when my OG said that it won't like. I'm like, who is your OG? And what was he doing?
OG? Who is the one?
He was probably in the house while we was out doing showcases and performing. Was he active? Was he in the music?
Right. You got to remember this too. Everybody's got to remember this. People that are OGs now, they're not OGs like we're almost triple OGs.
Oh,
so
yeah, we definitely
I'm 60 now. I remember when hip-hop
I'm 5 years behind you.
Me too.
And y'all remember when hip hop first started.
Oh, yeah.
In Richmond.
Yeah.
We were part of it. We lived it. A lot of these guys that are OGs now, they were kids.
Exactly.
They were kids. Exactly. These people are, because see, they're calling themselves OG in late 30s now. They're saying they're OGs in late 30s. Okay, fine. Yeah. But how can they tell me something when I was there? It's the same thing.
Thank you. How are you gonna tell me when we were in the trenches? Man, we were doing showcases, battles, ciphers. I was at the Trop. I was in the same contest with DOS Effects.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
You were there.
I was in that. I was Lorenzo Ice-T Thomas and EPMD was judging. I was the first one to get all 10s. Across the board. So I thought because they were grading on a scale of 1 to 10. So I thought, well, hey, either I won or I'm gonna tie with somebody. Then they start giving out 11s and 12s. I was like, yo, it's a wrap.
You know what I'm gonna do?
But Eric and Parrish got my numbers, Schumer Management, and we kept in touch. They would invite us up to video shoots. I mean, it was love, man. But like I said, we were in that. You know what I'm saying? So when people try to tell me, oh, it wasn't this, or like I heard some young dude try to tell me, well, Richmond wasn't known for battle rapping. I'm like,
Ew.
who is your OG? That's all we did.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying?
That's how we
I'm
learn.
like, yo, what are you talking about? And not to mention, one of Richmond's finest got his deal from battle rapping. Mad Skills.
Mad Skills.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So how you gonna say Richmond wasn't known for that? This is the first dude from here to blow. What? That's how we got on. Like, yo, it's just it be bugging me out, man. The conversations, man.
Me too. Unfortunately, you know, the history of Richmond hip hop, it suffers from the same thing that, you know, even national hip hop don't even got the story right yet.
Exactly.
One thing that national hip hop has is, you know, some archival material, you know, and you know, you got people in prominent positions who can correct some of the mistakes, even though, you know, a lot of the pioneers are still arguing over some of the minute parts of the history. The general history of New York is known. With us, the problem is because we were so early in the in this whole thing, it's not a lot of archival footage. Like it wasn't a lot of people running around with them. You know, by the time, you know, the trop and all that, you start having people with the camcorders and stuff like that.
Oh,
you know, Brad, you were doing the B-side and stuff like that. But, you know, in the earlier days before that, you know, nobody was documenting anything. So if you weren't there, you know, you really aren't gonna know. But one thing that kind of prompted me and Brad to kind of come on live, I was talking about, I won't name the entity, but someone was offering me this opportunity to author a book about Virginia hip hop. But it was somebody that had nothing to do with actual hip hop at all, and they were connected to a higher a learning institution, a college.
Right.
They didn't know about hip hop. They came across me or somebody suggested me, whatever the case was. And I'm excited. Okay, you know, I can help these people author this book or author it or whatever. But they wanted to start with the beach. And I know why they wanted to start the beach, because the beach was the first in this area to start. You know, Missy and all of them was selling millions of records. So I understand it, you know, because like I was telling Al Bravador yesterday, we were talking. And as you know, Style, from your own, everything, this is the music business. And you could really put business first. It's the business music. Because, you know, everything is about I understand it, you know, whether I agree with it or not. These people want to generate income. So these people are trying to do a book, and they're telling me about, you know, Missy and Timberland, and even, you know, they might have known some about Teddy Riley having a studio down there. And I'm telling them, well, you know, there's a history that's, you know, a good while before the beach, you know, gets their stuff. And they weren't interested in that. And we weren't really able to iron out anything, because that's where they wanted to start. And I respectfully, I could have done it, but I respectfully declined, because
version.
Yep.
Right. They want, like you said, the selling points. They wanted
the selling points. Right. Because what they figure is, well, you know, the names you throwing out there, we never heard of them, and I'm pretty sure the audience never heard of them, so we're not gonna make no money off the book. Totally get it.
The purpose of doing these is to educate, to let them know who was doing
it. Like he said, like he said, these people aren't connected to the culture or hip hop
at all.
So they're not concerned about, and that's a whole nother conversation within itself as to why we are where we are with hip hop. You know what I mean? Because the platforms that we're on, the entities that control it, have no direct alignment or interest in the actual culture of it. Right. They only concerned about what you said, making money off of it.
And
you know
that's also the bottom line for record companies. That's why they never really, from the beginning, never cared about the culture of hip hop. They never cared about it. Never cared about it.
They saw it as opportunity to make money. You know, this is blowing up. Let's get in. Let's make some money. You know what I mean? And when you don't 100%. Control your voice, when you can't control your voice, who's controlling it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you don't own your image, when you don't own your voice, when you don't own the platforms that move these things and control these things, then you're susceptible to a lot of stuff.
And that's what's
where we are. Where we are now. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that's what
absolutely.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, man.
I really couldn't have said it better myself.
But that's why, God bless like JayQuan and cats like that who have the integrity for the culture to keep it pure in that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
And yourself, and you know what I mean? Because like I tell cats, I can't be bought, dog. I love this.
Yeah.
This is what I breathe, man.
You said
I'm
that
going to do it.
You said that
I'm going. I did. But it's true. I can't be bought, bro. I can't. I have too much passion and love because I saw it from the very beginning. I fell in love with it from the very beginning. And I think that's where the disconnect lies between us and the younger culture. They grew up in a time where money was the influence, was the primary objective.
Right.
We doing this to make money.
Right.
And you know what I mean? We didn't know if it was, hip hop wasn't making money like that back when we started.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying?
We were just glad to do it. We
did it for the love and the respect.
Yep.
We wanted to be good enough to be respected.
And that's when you used to get real respect back then. Because now
because the respect wasn't about you. Exactly. Because the respect wasn't about streams, views, record sales, or how much money you got. The respect came from the pure art of it.
That's right.
It was nothing else. The bars, the lyrics, the production, everything. That's where the respect came from. It didn't come from anything else. So when cats bring up money or he sold this, I'm like, that don't mean nothing to me.
Yeah,
bar for bar. That's all I care about. Where's the creativity?
But see, that's exactly what I think Jay was leading to. We lost him again. I'm sure he'll pop back.
Yeah.
I spoke him right out. There you go. I bring him back on. There you go, Jay. Yeah. See, this is the thing. Whoever the person is that he's speaking about, they just care about the Grammy and the platinum selling people, because that's what people gonna be like. Oh, they want those people that bought those songs or those CDs or those records or whatever. They want those sales for the book. So it's a sad commentary, because society as a whole now does not want to be educated. They don't.
No,
they don't want to be educated. They're just like, okay, you want me to do this? How much you gonna pay me? I'm good. Yeah. That's all they care about. That's it. And that's the sad part about it.
Well,
that's the sad part about it.
What it is, man, once you enter into the music business, and hip hop is the only genre of music that has a cultural element, like a heavy cultural element connected to it. I mean, there's culture connected to other musics too, but not to the degree of hip hop.
Right.
The only other genre of music I could think of that had as much of a cultural connection to it was punk rock. Country
you
too.
Don't think country? Yeah.
Country definitely has a cultural connection, but punk rock really could have been the cousin of hip hop.
Right.
But punk rock, I'm not going to necessarily say hip hop sold out, even though we did. Punk rock didn't sell out to that degree. If you notice with punk rock, the most punk rock, first of all, punk rock was way too angry and aggressive. Like, punk rock, the same way we had Public Enemy and we had the era of the 90s, punk rock started out like that. It was very aggressive and angry. And it's really hard to commercialize that. So I remember they tried to do like a Chipmunks punk rock record that didn't do nothing, right? But you never saw punk rock on like Flintstone commercials and all that. With hip hop early on, when we you look at the old McDonald's commercials, you could see them breakdancing on there. Like our thing was already very attractive. You got to be careful what you ask for. At one point, we wanted to be on TV. We wanted hip hop to be everywhere.
They had Hammer dancing for chicken at KFC.
But even and the funny thing with that,
said he wasn't gonna do that though. LL said, I'm not dancing for chicken.
The funny thing about Hammer dancing for chicken, I was very anti-Hammer as a young cat, because I was extremely about lyrical MCs.
Exactly.
I'm about to surprise y'all. I liked Hammer in the very beginning.
Oh yeah, you told me
because I felt like he was just being him. It was still the same. To me, in the beginning, he was following the same guidelines of hip hop. Now, when it became overly commercial, it was like. But then I'm at the same time I'm torn, because is that his fault? He's just being him,
right?
And it just happened to, be extra, right? And, at that time in the culture, we were very don't sell out don't sell out the culture, blah, blah, blah. Because I think a lot of people liked him. He was not a lyrical cat. No,
not at all.
But I liked him because I was like, yo, this dude like to dance and yo, he's entertaining. You know, I liked him. Would I ride around bumping his music? No.
Right.
But I liked the idea of somebody who just wants to entertain
and be himself.
He's in hip hop. He was hip hop dancing, Running Man, and I'm like, let's get it started. I was like, I was a dancer back in the day. I used to dance like that. You know what I'm saying?
And you know why I got so mad about it? And it really, like you said, it wasn't really so much his fault. I noticed that, I realized that now and these years later and stuff, and just like you said, you said it perfect. He was just being him, and he just wanted to have fun, and he was making so much money. But see, the radio stations of what ticked me off, they tried to push this and said this is hip hop. No, it was not.
Right.
That was
and
rap.
See that goes back to the same conversation. We don't control the platforms, so they can control the narrative.
Right.
You know, because they control the platforms and force feed you something. And that became Hammer's, a backlash for Hammer that, again, wasn't his fault. They just saw an opportunity to capitalize on, this is entertaining. White people like this. Cool. He's non-threatening. He's not,
that was exactly what it was.
Or any of that. He was safe. And it just became his downfall, not by intentionally.
Sure,
but
I like Let's Get It Started, and I like Pump It Up.
I like the beginning records.
Let's Get Started. Pump It Up.
Neither one of them.
And
what I did like, Jay might be getting ready to say it. I did like, and I played Turn This Mother Out.
I was about to say Turn This Mother Out.
I did play because you know why? He had a break in it.
He had bongo band. He had bongo band.
So I'm like,
bongo band
Hammer,
was
I'll
crazy.
give you this one. So everybody's like, man, you're not playing any Hammer. I said, because I don't like Hammer. And I said, but you know what?
Even though I was a lyrical cat, I just liked him because to me it was still it was so, because let's keep it a buck. Puffy was nothing but a more updated Hammer.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah. Well, I've never been a fan of
that gets me. That's exactly what I was about to say. I was going to say, as far as like Hammer throwing the chicken in the air and doing all the endorsements, doing all the endorsements. We gave him hell back then for that, and now that's the norm for everybody. In fact, that's the only reason why cats are even doing music today, because you ain't making no money doing music. These cats are doing music to get the endorsement.
Right.
So it's almost like we owe that dude an apology because he was ahead of his time. Because the whole game right now is what he was doing.
If I was to meet Hammer, I would apologize to him because I was one that was anti-Hammer. I would. But here's the thing.
Right.
And I wanted to say this real quick because everybody knows when I was on the radio with Z-Rock Crew, and then when I was on WANT by myself, and Fresh and RJ was still at KIE, so you had Z-Rock Crew on both stations. So when I was on WANT and I would play Hammer and I played Turn This Mother Out, I didn't play it at first, but then I thought about it and said, okay, Brad, you're supposed to not even put your personal in it about you not liking something or some music. If the people out there like it, you play it. And that's what I should have done. And I did do it. A lot of DJs don't do that. A lot of DJs, if they don't like it, they don't play it. I wanted to be separate from that. And I said, if you're gonna practice what you preach, or you're gonna be a hypocrite. So that's when I started playing Turn This Mother Out. I said, well, at least I'll play that. So I would apologize to him when I see him.
I feel bad for Hammer, man, because as much as a lot of people didn't like him, he did push the culture. He opened a lot of people's ears that may not have ever even wanted or been interested in hip hop to open their minds to it. And he wasn't too far from a Kid and Play and all that at the time. You know what I mean? And the way the culture treated him in the end, I just feel bad for him, man, because I do think he's owed some props. To a certain degree, you know what I'm saying? But I can understand why people don't like him or didn't like him at the time, but I can't imagine how he probably feel like, I was just trying to, do my thing, and it just blew up, and because it blew up, it became the backlash. You know what I'm saying? Because Hammer was like 15 years too early. If he had came out in the mid 90s, oh yeah, man, they would have. It wouldn't have been a conversation, bro. It'd have been a rap. It wouldn't have been a conversation.
Not at all.
He just happened to come around at the time where hip hop was really gatekeeping itself, and I missed that time. I wish we still had that time where we policed the game. Like, yo, with certain things that was just known within the culture, you don't do. You don't go past a certain point, dog. You go too far over there, we will reject you.
Right.
And the same, because think about it, Whitney went through that. It had a moment of that as well. You know what I mean? When she was extra pop. Remember when Mary J came out and brought the soulful music back? I think at one time at an award show, wasn't she?
NAACP awards, they booed her.
Yeah. Because it just got to be, we were just at a moment where a lot of our artists were what we termed back then selling out. And back then the culture wasn't about that. We wanted to keep this thing to us because we saw what happened with rock and roll and everything else. Let's keep this here. And I miss that part about it because now it's a free for all. We doing whatever to make money.
And you can't and you can't put it back in that box. Like it's so big now.
No,
it'll never go back to it. If you were there and you enjoyed it, then that's great because it can never go back to that. The conditions that created it don't exist no more. It was a great thing when this was our music. And when I say our, I don't just mean black people because it was sprinklings of other people there too. But everybody wrote off hip hop. Nobody liked it. Don Cornelius ain't like it. Our mothers and fathers basically didn't like it. The adults didn't like it. And I think that gave us an energy like us against the world, and that happens with every generation.
We got something that nobody, and that's how I felt growing up. Like I found something that was so dope. I'm like, yo, how can people can hear this and not love this? What is wrong with people?
The funny thing is, like, the more
you found something like man, it was so when I first discovered hip hop, man, it was mind blowing, dog. It was like, yo, how can people not like this? The breakdancing, the DJ, and the graffiti. It was everything all at once. It's like, yo, how can people not love this, man?
And the more that people disliked it, the more my passion became stronger for it.
Like, you felt like you had to defend it. You know what I mean? You had to protect it. You had to stand up for it.
And the irony is now I feel like I can't defend it.
And speaking of protecting it,
exactly.
Speaking of protecting it, I paid a price trying to protect hip hop.
Give me 1 second, fellas. I'll be right back.
Sure. I paid a price that night coming from off of WANT, off my air shift, and I'm in Highland Park, and this is one night that normally would be active at 12 midnight around Highland Park. There was a restaurant across Meadowbridge Road, and for some reason it was very quiet and eerie that night. So I'm going in my car and I'm attacked. And there was nobody from the neighborhood because these guys were not from around there. They were not those type of guys. And then the stuff they were saying to me, kicking me, and hitting me with stuff. I mean, man, being attacked by them 5 guys. Yeah, I paid a price, but that wasn't going to stop me. And I mean that, man. It hasn't stopped me. So
the thing was at that point, man. Money and fame wasn't the goal for us. I remember us doing shows, even opening up for Just Ice and Heavy D and UTFO, all the shows we did, the shows we did at the Coliseum. It was just about performing for the people. We would have done it for free. And shit, sometimes we did, excuse me for cursing. Sometimes we did it for free. We did. There were times when at the end of the night, it was like, we ain't make no money on the door. And we ain't get no money.
I remember those days. And it didn't bother us that much. It bothered us maybe for the moment, but at the same time, we was cool because everybody enjoyed what we did.
Yeah, it wasn't about the money. It was about showcasing your talent for the people. And if you got some change, for doing it, then that was cool. But that was and in the beginning, I remember Kumo D telling me that when the Treacherous 3 would perform, and this was after he was making records, you know, they would perform at a local spot, and the promoter would pay them, get them pizza. Like that was their payment was to get a couple pizzas, and they were fine with it because that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to rock for the neighborhood. So, you know, when as much money is involved in, you know, in the industry at this point, you know, you're gonna be hard pressed to try to police it and tell cats to keep it real. Real is gonna, it's been we've been 3 decades, you know, outside of trying to have anything real at this point. And at one point there was a this thing was almost like a fraternity at one. It was a fraternity of cats that did music.
Yep.
You was a special. Usually, if you was an MC, any good of an MC, you was probably a smart dude back then. You know, you had to be halfway intelligent. Absolutely. You had to be good with words, poetic dude, whatever. And there was a fraternity of people who did this. Now, when I look at it now, like, it's funny talking about, like, people be talking about bars or whatever. And I'm talking about what I call civilians. I call people who don't do music civilians. They be talking about 32 bars and 16 bars. There was a time when people that didn't do music didn't know nothing about no bars. Then like it's just a free fall where everybody's just there's nobody in the stands because everybody wants to be on stage, you know. And that's where it is. Dog.
You said it perfectly. Everybody wants to be on stage, bro. It going back to what you said, it was a time when people knew that rap was like a ride at King's Dominion. You had to be at a certain level to get on that ride. Exactly. You know what I mean? And
you got to be this tall, right?
I knew it was certain cats who probably wanted to rap, but they knew, you got to be at a certain level, even starting out. You can't just come in there, cats will give you, time to get improved, but you can't everybody just can't rap, dog.
Right.
You know what I mean? You just, and not everybody, and it was understood.
Yes.
So certain dudes knew that at a certain point, if they tried, they knew, let me try something else. Let me DJ or let me be a promoter or be a manager or somebody. But I can't, I ain't as good as, but when you open the door, like you said, it was like a fraternity. Now they let the slow kids that used to ride the short bus, everybody can rap.
Hey, wait a minute. I rode
the short bus. On my
now. I rode the short bus.
You didn't ride it for that reason.
Yes,
you didn't ride it for that reason.
Oh, no,
you know what we're talking about.
But I did ride the short bus though.
And it's a lot of different levels as to why I got here. But like one of the main things like I saw happening is when everybody started getting participation awards, when the conversation swayed to, well, you can't judge that, let them do what they want. Nah. When did we start? We need to bring like what I said in the podcast.
Just like you said, the booing.
We need to bring booing back. When we stop booing and allowing people to do perform and they whack and they still get applause, nah. Well, man.
I tell you what the equivalent of that is in 2025, and it's been like that now for almost 20 years. That word and that whole attitude of hater. Like I don't use the word hater because the way that hater is used these days, whether it's in hip hop or anything, if something is whack and you feel like it's whack, then you feel like it's whack. It's a lot of music that turned out to be great music that I didn't like when I was coming up. And I said, I ain't like that. And nobody ever called me a hater. He'd be like, oh, I can't believe you don't like that. That's dope. And we moved on. Now, you can't say nothing about nothing without somebody say, oh, you hate.
That's the point. So, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So they lower the bar and they removed the bar. They lowered. They removed it. So now it's like everybody can do something. If you say
type of criticism is automatic hate.
Automatic.
You know what I mean? It's like, my dude, if it's garbage, it's garbage. So now I just tell people, look, man, I've just gotten to the point where certain things ain't for me. Don't send me no trap music. Don't send me no drill music, because honestly, and I'm being 100% honest, that music is foreign to me. I don't listen to it. Right. You know what I mean? That's asking my opinion, and cats will send me stuff and ask, what you think, OG? I'm like, bro, I don't listen to that type of rap. So asking me how this sounds is almost like asking me how a Garth Brooks record sounds.
Right.
Because I don't listen to that, bro.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? My ears, I'm at an age, we all get to a point where how you like your music to sound and be delivered to you. I know that, like I tell these rappers all the time, the content doesn't change. The cadence, the flows, the beat patterns, that's what changes. You know what I mean? what these cats is rapping about, cats been rapping about streets, whatever, shoot them up, whatever. But the flow, the cadence, the flow patterns, the beat patterns, I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? I want my rap delivered a certain way. I want
And
my
it's got to be
beats to
clever.
sound a certain.
It's got to be clever.
That's the other thing. And that's why I tell them, like, yo, y'all just regurgitating the same stuff. It's not done with any creativity.
Right.
Biggie made 10 Crack Commandments. Nas made I Give You Power. They were talking about street stuff, but they thought outside of the box.
There you go.
And was creative about it. I don't care what you rap about, just be creative when you do it. Don't just say it just to say it. Oh, we went down the street, we shot a dude, we ran off. Yo, be creative about it, man.
Right.
You know, it's just no creativity because
There's no
everybody
storytelling. There's no storytelling.
Oh my God, bro.
There's no storytelling. Slick
None.
Rick, one of the best storytellers around. You know, I mean,
Slick Rick,
Melly Mel,
Ice Cube. We know Biggie. Yo, man, come on, man.
Now, I will say this.
Black Steel and Our Chaos, Chuck D. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah,
man.
incredible.
Come on,
Incredible.
Classic.
But I will say this,
Classic.
because this is something I hear a lot in the internet age. The way we're talking now, right? Somebody will come and say, oh man, y'all must don't listen to the underground hip hop because there's a whole lot of good music out there if you search for it. So this is my problem with that. I'll make this brief. When people say it's a lot of good music out there, you just got to search for it. I don't disagree. It is a whole lot of good music out there.
Right.
Absolutely.
What I disagree with is I'm not 15, 16 with the boombox no more. I don't got time to search for it.
Right.
Why is it that the bad music is of abundance? Like, why can if I'm at the stoplight, the bad music is in my car. If I'm pumping gas, the bad music is coming into my car. It's on the block. It's on the TV show.
It's on the
even
radio.
sitting in my house, I can
It's
hear
on
the
the
bad
radio.
music passing by.
I like how you say the bad music.
Right. If you say it's good music out there, you got to look for it. We wouldn't accept that with anything else. If it was set up that way, where if you said it's good food out there, you just got to look for it. That's what they would call the food desert. Where like, you got my neighborhood set up where I can't get the good food.
Well,
So like, I have a problem with the fact that people.
There's a rap desert. There is a desert.
And that's the issue. Like I don't really got time at my age, and I just don't feel like looking for no good music. I want the good music. Now, if you got your Spotify or something and you listen to good music, the algorithm do feed. That's how I hear most stuff.
That's true. That's true.
The algorithm, if it see that you like good stuff, it hits you with good stuff. I admit that.
Right.
But there was a time when it was just like, you know, good music was in the supermarket. You riding down the street,
everywhere, bruh.
Good music just hits you. Now, like bad music is the default, and I got to look for the good music. I'm not. I have to be a hater. I have to be old or whatever. But I don't feel like looking for something that's good when it used to be in abundance. You know,
the dark side is active. I'll say that the dark side is active.
You're absolutely right, bro.
It's definitely active. But I will say this. I do like a lot of Virginia artists, new Virginia artists.
Oh yeah,
I do like them.
Absolutely.
Hustle Hard.
Yes.
Her husband, Beezy
Billups.
Yeah, you go.
Billups.
Bars Nice. I like Bars
Nice. Tone Red.
Yeah.
Tone Red.
Radio B.
Yes.
Of course, Noah O.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I love them. So don't nobody come to me and say I don't like no Virginia artists.
It's some
Big Sty. I like Big Sty.
Thank you, but
I like Big Sty.
I'm old though.
That's right. Old. That's right. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Man.
Mad Skills. I like Mad Skills.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man.
You know,
it's good. It's good stuff.
Yo, like, man, hold on, everyone. Yo, I got to say this, man. We don't give Skills enough flowers, man. And the reason I say this, I've been privy to hear some behind the scenes stuff. Yo, Skills be doing a lot of stuff, bro.
He do a lot. I see him even trying to sing
rap. Skills is doing rap.
He might have been joking.
R&B, pop. Yo, he is all over the. Yo, man, he's done a lot of stuff behind the scenes that. And I told him when he did the podcast, I said, man, you need to toot your own horn sometimes, man, because there's a lot of stuff that people don't know that you've done or are doing, man. And you know, so they only look at the one record, you know, the wrap up and think that's all you're doing. And I'm like, bro, you gotta start, you know, poking your chest out sometimes, man.
Yeah, I totally.
He's like, you know, I don't be tripping on that. I'm like, man, listen, man. Yo, he definitely, man. Dude is
I
He on
totally
some other
agree.
stuff, man.
What I attribute that to is I feel like it's too much. Everything is oversaturated, and this is definitely a product of the internet and the world that we live in. We got too much of everything. We got too many TV channels, too much music. Like to me, it's actually too much music out there.
It
When I
is.
turn on the TV,
Absolutely.
everybody should check out Eddie Murphy's documentary. Even if you don't like Eddie Murphy, his new documentary on Netflix.
Oh yeah, I heard it's nice.
It's
I
out
heard it's
already?
nice.
Yeah,
I gotta check
it
that
came out Wednesday, I believe. When he starts, the first thing he says, he's flipping channels. He's like, "Man, all these channels ain't nothing on." Like, it's good stuff on, but like we were just saying, it's so much of everything. It's hard to find. So
It's too saturated.
right. So I think the reason that people don't necessarily know everything that Skills is doing, everything, because you're still doing your thing, Style. I see everything you're doing. I thought about putting music. I tell you who's very loyal and has always been loyal, especially to black music, is overseas, the UK, Japan, Helsinki, Finland, places like that. The last time I put a piece of music out, which was quite a long time ago, but that's where I was shipping music to. And still, people in the UK will be like, "Jay, why don't you come over here and do something?" And it blows me away because it's like, wow, they want to hear me do something, and people right in my backyard could care less. And
picking up on what you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Now, picking on what you said, it's crazy that you mentioned that because, like, what was it, about 2-3 years ago, a record label in Brussels leased old record back when I was Sherlock in the 90s.
Wow.
They leased the old album that I did back then to re-release vinyl and all that over there. And I was like, yo, did you want us to go in the studio and digitally remaster it or whatever? It's like, nah, we want it to sound like it sounded. I was like, yo, man, it was crazy to me.
It's so crazy to me that.
But they have a different appreciation for the culture than we do. We're spoiled because we right here in it.
There you
know what I mean? But they have a whole different appreciation. And I think that's part of it too. When I say spoiled, I attribute that to the younger generation because when you're 20-something, 30-something, you grew up, all you knew was hip hop. We can remember a time where there wasn't.
Right.
You remember a time where hip hop wasn't on the radio. Imagine growing up in a world from birth and hip hop is everywhere. You're spoiled. Your appreciation for it is not the same as ours. And that's why I tell these young dudes, we used to have to search for it. You know what I mean? We used to have to call the radio stations and beg them for it.
Yep.
Boycott radio stations that didn't play it.
You just said everything. You just said everything.
You know what I mean?
When you see me putting up the Jet magazine, top 20 and all that, it ain't just trying to be the old school cat. It's showing you I put up a few joints where it's like you see 20 songs and the only rap song might be a Houdini and a Run DMC or maybe a Fat Boy, but everything else is Shaka Khan, Prince, Michael Jackson. So yeah, you didn't hear it on the radio. You could go 24 hours and not. I mean, there's a time when you ain't hear it at all. Prior to 79, and we all old enough that we had enough time on this earth before 79. We remember you ain't hear no rap nowhere. There was no such
thing. And was no social media. So remember when you would come to school and somebody had went to New York and got a tape off of, you know what I mean? And they playing and everybody's gathered around the lunch table listening. You know what I'm saying? Because we didn't have it. It wasn't in abundance. How
I was introduced to hip hop at Henderson Middle School in the locker room. Somebody had a box. Yeah, I went to Henderson. Yep.
Go ahead, I me too, man.
I went 1979, 1980.
Man.
King Tim III came out.
You was a little older than me,
yeah. I just turned 60.
You did say that. 5 years.
Guy by the name of Tony Johnson. Guy by the name of Tony Johnson had a box, and he came in the locker room. He said, "Y'all heard this?" It was King Tim III, and man, we couldn't get into our gym clothes because we were listening to this song, to the beat, everybody, to the beat, everybody, 2, 4, 6, 8, Fatback, don't you hesitate. We was like, oh shit. We were like,
bro, we used to have to sneak out the house. Well, I had to sneak out the house to go to Williamsburg Skateland to hear hip hop.
Right.
Cause maybe they play something that I ain't heard yet. You know what I'm saying? And then back then, like you said, to the oversaturation, at one time, even when hip hop started to build, it still was only maybe 1 or 2 albums out at a time. And
Right.
then you had those records lasted for maybe a year or 2. You know what I'm saying?
So-
Before the next record came.
Everything you're saying, like I said, not to get too deep, but this is the truth, man. Everything we're saying is applicable to things outside of hip hop. So, for instance, when I say it's too much of everything, the fact that we had to wait for everything made everything special. So you had to wait to see your favorite artist Saturday morning on either Soul Train or American Bandstand. You couldn't pull up your tablet and just see what your favorite artist was doing on social media. You couldn't see no videos. Before MTV, you didn't really see no videos at all. Even our generation, you had to wait till every Saturday morning to see the Saturday morning cartoons. There was an excitement about it. Now young people have tablets. So, and I know this make us sound like some old cats, but I mean, we are the age we are and the world is what it is. There's an appreciation we have for everything because you didn't have it with you all the time. Imagine if we had a technology back then where you couldn't think of the name of a song and we had Shazam and you could just hold it up and in 3 seconds it could tell you the name of it. We didn't have any of that. So we are built from a different cloth. I'm not necessarily saying it's a better cloth, even though I think it is. Like
I do too.
And that's why you hear these arguments, and I would never even put my 2 cents in it. Every time a new artist come out, they try to kick Michael Jackson down. This person knew Michael Jackson. This person outsold Michael Jackson. You can't do that when this dude came out when the technology and the way of making music was the equivalent of like a horse and buggy compared to this cat got a Hemi engine. Right. Nobody's getting up and going out and buying this person's record. You're basing it on streaming, where if you wanted Michael stuff, you had to get up, go to the record store, put some money down, come back, open it, and listen to it.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different thing. Like you can't even really give some of these cats props. And again, I'm not hating, and I hate that I even feel like I gotta say it, but you can't give a cat props for like this dude sold more records than Michael Jackson when he ain't sell records. It's just streaming.
It's just streams. Those ain't even records, man. So, come on, man. But no, you said it right. That appreciation, because in that feeling you had for even all those little things. Saturday morning, waking up excited to watch cartoons or Soul Train.
Yeah,
it was a feeling. I can't imagine how low that feeling must feel for these young cats now.
But here's the thing,
the game is so. What are you excited about?
No more excitement for shows.
You know what I'm saying? What are you excited about?
No more excitement for shows.
For nothing.
There is no excitement, dog.
There's no excitement for shows. We used to. I mean, that even when we go to shows to see, like, say, MC Light, or even I remember when I went to see Houdini down in Petersburg with Doug Evans when they were down there the last time Houdini was in this area. I was still excited, even though I know them. I was still excited to see Ecstasy. May he continue to rest in peace.
What?
Jalil, Doc Ice, Wizzo on stage. Even it was Mel Starr, the DJ, not Grandmaster D. But the point is, I still was excited to see them and to do their show and to hear the songs, them do them live.
Yes.
It ain't like that now.
No,
it's not like that now,
it's
man.
not like that.
And I mean, like I look down, I'm gonna say this.
Well, I'll say this.
To me, it's a disgrace to me to see the Richmond Coliseum sit like it is. Because number one, you got Hampton Coliseum in Hampton, bigger population, smaller venue.
Yep.
They still use theirs along with their convention center. Norfolk, the Norfolk Scope, smaller venue than Richmond Coliseum, bigger population, still use it, and they redid it. Why we got the doggone Coliseum sitting rotten? It don't make sense. That's where all of our shows was, the Fresh Fest.
The
wrestling shows.
The circus wrestling, the Harlem Globetrotters.
Oh man, Parliament Funkadelic, the Underwater Booty Affair. I went to that in 78. In 79, it was freezing out there. There was ice on the street. Chip took me there, and the next morning I had to go to school to Grays Middle School.
You know,
In
when I first
79
saw Parliament perform
at the
is
Coliseum.
when
Okay.
George Clinton asked me to perform with him.
Whoa.
I had never seen
George
him
Clinton
perform
asked you to
before.
perform with him,
Bro,
perform with him.
Bro, a dude that was doing my headshots photography back in the 90s, Robert Luke. Shout out to Robert Luke. He was doing some photography for George Clinton one time in Richmond. He called like, yo, George Clinton coming, man. You know, y'all should come, man. I'll let you meet him, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh man, I'm geeked up. Never met George Clinton. Get up there and meet him. He's like, yo, you the rapper? I was like, yeah, I rap. He's like, spit something. So I spit something. He's like, yo, you want to get on stage with me tonight? I said, hell yeah. So they was performing at some college way out, like the west, going west in Virginia. I forget the name of it. All white college.
Might be Lexington, Virginia. Might be out there.
I can't remember.
Hampton, Sydney? Not Hampton, Sydney.
No.
I forgot the name of it. It's something out there out west that way.
Yeah, but bro, he got on. He went in for maybe 45 minutes, called me up on stage. I spit. Yo, I was bugging like I'm on stage with George Clinton, but I didn't know the protocol. So I just spit a verse and stayed up there for a minute, did a little crowd participation. I got off. And later on, the manager was like, man, why you leave so soon? I was like, hey, man, I didn't want to, I didn't want him to get mad at me,
Right.
He's
Overstay
like,
your welcome.
He was like, George, you could have stayed up there for a whole hour and for him, man. He was like, George don't care. I was like, yo, I didn't know, man. But
I heard he's a lot different than other people when it comes to sharing the stage. That he welcomes everyone.
Just so cool, man. Just so cool.
Well,
it was one of the highlights of my career, bro.
Do you have a video on that?
I do not. I got one picture, but even that picture is kind of dark. It was like, this was like 2001. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have the camera phones and all that back then. So, you know what I mean?
I saw them.
Took a little Polaroid.
I saw them. It was after that. I'm pretty sure it was after 2001, but it was Browns Island. I wish I remember what year it was, but it was Browns Island, and they brought D'Angelo out. Rest in peace.
Wow.
And they did. He just improv. He did One Nation Under Groove with them, and he killed it. And
man, George he's wide open, man. Because what's crazy, man. Like I said, I did my little part in the first hour of the show. I come off stage, I go outside to the parking lot. I end up falling asleep in the whip. I wake up about 2.5 hours later. They still rocking.
Oh yeah.
They did probably like a 4 or 5 hour show. I'm like, yo, and they was in their 50s, 60s then.
Yeah, they don't play around
like that.
Yeah, they don't play around.
Yeah, George was he don't play, bro. No. He give a show.
Absolutely.
And the whole time they going crazy. I'm like, yo, that was man, one of the highlights of my life, man. George is
to what Bravador was saying about the Coliseum, that is a shame, man. Like I wanted to take my mother to see. I want to take my mother to see with Gladys Knight and Shaka Khan and Patti LaBelle was doing their thing. But you got to either catch it in Baltimore or somewhere. We don't have nobody come here unless they come to the Altria, which don't hold enough people.
Now what they have this amphitheater. And what are you gonna do if it rains?
Right. So
it's cold. So
and that's what I was saying. In February, New Edition will be here with Tony Braxton and Boys of Men. And I want to take my wife to see that, but I either got to go to Hampton to see it, or I got to check it out in DC, Baltimore area.
Well, Sting is coming. Sting's coming in May. Sting.
Yeah.
Sting's coming in May. Well, I'm going to see him there. And we're like, okay, well, hopefully it won't rain. I'm just like, y'all got
the fact that we don't have a Coliseum it just is.
Well, Aaron Turner says that they are waiting to put retail and apartments in the Richmond Coliseum's place. You got all these other places that the doggone apartments can go. Look, redo the Richmond Coliseum so we can have some big shows here. Y'all got everybody moving into Richmond now in these apartments that you're throwing up everywhere. So you got the population. And like I said, you got other places like Hampton and Norfolk with bigger populations. They're using smaller venues that are smaller than the Richmond Coliseum. You know, so but see, they were supposed to tear the Coliseum down because they were supposed to get that Navy Hill project. Well, that didn't happen. And then Henrico was supposed to get it. It was called the Green City. Then it fell through there. It just wasn't right. Something
The Commonwealth, man. The Commonwealth.
Look, man. Look. Well, I mean, it's Commonwealth down in Hampton and Norfolk. But my point is, we gotta. The Coliseum needs to be redone and reopened. There's nothing wrong with the structure of it. I can tell you that. Nothing wrong with it. No, I'm not an engineer, but I can tell you this. All of a sudden, anybody come up and say, well, it's structurally not sound. That's bull. Ain't nothing wrong with that place. It just needs some paint, some sealant. Get in there and get that place straight like it was and more better than what it was and open it back up.
Yeah.
That's just me. That's just me, man.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's ridiculous that we don't have a spot, but yeah.
But what's going to happen? Okay, so if they're going to go ahead and build apartments there and retail there, okay, what are you going to do to compensate for that? So you're just going to just say the amphitheater is going to be the one that's going to take all of the influx of people for shows now, or Altria? Altria is not big enough. We need We need a big venue like the Coliseum. We need that. Hey, you didn't build the new one.
I mean, I kind of feel.
I mean, come on, man.
Ain't this like a conversation that even back in the day we used to have? Like, it's like for whatever reason they don't want that type of entertainment here. You know what I'm saying? It's like we've never gotten the same type of traffic flow as far as entertainment that Norfolk and Hampton have got. You know what I mean?
You wouldn't think we was the capital. You wouldn't think we was the capital of the state.
You would not, man. It's kind of been like that. Like, yo, I
always been like that.
Having these conversations when we were young, like, yo, why we can't do more? Wanted a time when Richmond in Atlanta and Charlotte, North Carolina was like neck and neck with who's gonna be the next.
That's what I was getting ready to speak on. I was getting ready to speak on that.
And we forever keep getting. I don't understand what's going on. What is up with the politics in Richmond? Why is it always like this, bro?
Let me say this. I don't know why, but I will say this. Back in the 70s, everything was at the Richmond Coliseum, just about. Everything.
Yeah.
And into the 80s and everything. Then we had CIAA. What happened? The last CIAA tournament was here. People got the cars towed. And then CIAA said, that's all right, we're going to Charlotte. That's number one. That's number one.
Yeah.
That's number one. That's how we lost that. Number two, and this has nothing to do with the current administration. It has nothing to do with them. This is all past stuff. Here's another thing. Let me make sure I'm getting this right now. I'm just making sure, because in my older age, you know, I'm just making sure I'm clear on everything I'm saying. And everything, just making sure. It's just like what Sty said. It seems like they don't want us to bring any type of shows of any type there. Eddie Murphy came to the Richmond Coliseum with his Raw show. I went to it. Matter of fact, I went with Chuck D, Terminator, and the S1s because they had the show the next day. They came here. And they, you know, and that's another thing. They always, what was always great back then was that the Def Jam tour, 1987-88, they came here and spent 3 days here before the show. And they promoted it and it sold out. That's revenue for the city. Okay? But I mean, it's just, well, the artists are just not like that now. I get it. Okay? But stuff that was making you money, it's like you screwed it up.
Well, that was, I mean, you had the 6th Street Marketplace. When stuff happened downtown, the 6th Street Marketplace, you know, they had revenue and some kind of way that didn't like. I mean, there was a time, and I'm showing my age on this, and being a wrestling fan, and my grandmother, God bless the dead, she was a huge wrestling fan. You know, wrestling used to be here like every 2 weeks. Yeah, but before it was at the Coliseum, it used to be at the Richmond Arena. Remember, we had the arena at the same time that we had the Coliseum. And we had the Moss. Right. So we had 3 major venues. Yeah. And now we down to the Moss or Altria. And then this new thing that you're talking about that they building. So at one point, you know, it wasn't always quite like this, but the fact that we don't have anything there, it's embarrassing. It's quite embarrassing, really. It's embarrassing.
It is.
And it makes Richmond look kind of silly. It does. And here's the other thing.
Man.
Here's the other thing. My Chip was telling me this, and I never knew this. Back in the 60s, late 60s and early 70s, Richmond and Charlotte were twin cities on the East Coast for banking. I didn't know this till he told me. There was a time where Richmond and Charlotte, there was a master plan, but Richmond and Charlotte to both go like this, up. Charlotte went like this. We went like this. You know why? Bickering, back and forth, and could not get it together. And that's why. That's why Richmond is supposed to be like Charlotte right now, and it's not. And that's why. That's why.
I don't know, man. Richmond, man.
It's a sad commentary.
Richmond.
It's a sad
I love
commentary.
Richmond, bro, but goddamn.
Oh, I love
bro.
home. I love
like you said it best. You would not know we are the Cap City, bro. You would not know. You would not know. You would be like, yo, but a lot of people would think Norfolk. Exactly.
Yep.
You know,
and it's funny, like I said, you know, the conversation that you know that preceded this one, Brad, when we was talking yesterday, I was telling you about, you know, the people that aren't from here that talk about hip hop and they start with the beach. Like, I get why they start with the beach, but then like when you come here and experience it, I can see where it would be believable that the great thing started there, because it's like, oh, you know, some actually start like our downtown. Like, remember what our downtown used to be?
Yep.
I mean, I don't even want to.
We look forward to going downtown on a Saturday morning.
Was that
you crazy
to it?
Downtown, Bird Park.
Come on, man.
Greek Week.
Oh,
Come on, man. Yo, man, bro. We had it's like everything that we had that was dope, they just took away. It's like, yo, we ain't got nothing there.
How about the Gold Bowl?
It gave us a bunch of bullshit.
How about the Gold Bowl?
Oh, yeah, the Gold Bowl.
Oh, my God, man. Come on,
How about the Gold Bowl?
I'm saying, man, it's like, yo, we had a lot of good stuff going on, man. And all that shit just got swooped away, man. It's like, and so, because even back then, with all that was going on, that bought the entertainment business here.
Exactly.
A lot of rappers and record labels wanted to come out here because, yo, shit be popping.
Well, this was a test market because, you know, Brad talks about this a lot. This was a test market because where we're located, like, we're not quite, as Chris Brooks always says, we're the northernmost southern city. Even though Baltimore might have something to say about that, but he's correct. In the way that, you know, where we're situated, even our hip hop was always so great because we got Go right up the street, you know, Trouble Funk, their first records, they shouting out Richmond on Drop the Bomb. We got all the New York hip hop, and contrary to what people thought.
Let me jump in here, Jay. Hold your thought. I want to jump in here real quick, but first of all, I got to let everybody know this has been Bravador Live. We're still going strong. WQ Mix Worldwide Radio in the background playing your best, so we can't let it breathe, but we're talking right now. Sty, JayQuan, El Bravador. Here's what I wanted to say, and I hope I didn't forget it. Gosh, did all that stuff.
Yeah, we old, bro. I do the same.
Oh, my God.
I was talking about how
I got to get it back.
I know the feeling. I know the feeling.
I was talking about the Go and all of that influencing our sound.
Right. It was something. I'm not going to call who it was. I'm not doing it because I've gotten now in my older age. I'm not calling people out anymore because it don't do no good. It don't make it doesn't do any good. But somebody was talking about Go in Virginia. They didn't know what the heck they were talking about. They said, yeah, you know, Go was, you know, it's real heavy in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And then, you know, this guy was like trying to talk about it, but he was from down in the beach. Dude, you didn't talk about the Go parties in the counties like King George County, Fredericksburg, Caroline. They used to have the hot cold sweat used to come. Reds and the boys used to come. Richmond, Trouble Funk was always coming to Richmond. Petersburg, you know, at Virginia State. They ain't say none of that stuff because you know why? They're too young to know because they weren't there because they were too young.
Go was synonymous with hip hop when we was coming up. You couldn't go to a party or nowhere that was a hip hop party and not hear no Go. You was gonna hear Chuck Brown, Run Joe, or something,
Yep.
you was gonna hear some go-go in the middle of that hip hop party. It was synonymous in Richmond.
We played so much go-go at parties where you had to make sure that if you did a party, you know what they asked you? You got the four-sided thing of Trouble Funk's Drop the Bomb. On Jam 2.
Straight up funk go-go style.
You better play every bit of it. You better play every bit of it, or they were telling you ain't DJing this party. And that's when you records were breathing there. And they said you play the whole thing because that was bringing the go-go experience to people. Even on KIE, we were playing it more than anybody. So
you had to. It was a part of the culture in Richmond back then.
Man, and that's what I was saying. We had the influence of go-go. We had the influence of all them records by Shy D and 2 Live Crew and all that. We definitely had the New York. We had the New York hip hop. We had a little bit of everything. Here, and our proximity to New York and everywhere else, we were a test market. Even recently, not recently, but not that long ago, Chuck D was on Kid and Play's podcast. And I forgot what they're talking about, but Chuck talked about the fact that Richmond used to be a test market. If you go and look at the James Brown movie that Chadwick Boseman was in, they mentioned Second Street and how James Brown used to come here. And hey, I mean, this was a between spot, when you were going from Philly, New York, and up that way. So it used to be that way, but it's nothing to bring people here anymore.
I remember when
that's the point.
I remember when Salt and Pepper's manager was talking to us when they first came here, when we did the WKIE Rap Attack show at the Coliseum that almost sold out. He was talking to us after the show. We were at the hotel. He said, yeah, y'all like go-go down here, don't you? I was like, oh, man, that's all we do is play go-go. They said, yeah, Reds and the Boys. I said, yep, we do that. Trouble Funk, EU, Experience Unlimited. They was just running them down because, as you know, Jay, Herbie did a lot of sampling. LL, did with Rock the Bells. I mean, come on. All of that stuff is go-go influence. I Rule the World. Curtis Blow. And Davey D looped, Trouble Funk.
Go-go was in a lot of hit records. Man, let's keep it real. Rock the Bells, LL Cool J.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Yeah.
Fourth gear. What the thing is, Ron Lawrence. What's up to Ron Lawrence? My brother Ron Lawrence. He was going to Howard. He was going to Ron was going to Howard, and he was hearing go-go. And he was passing, when he was producing with the Invincibles, where Herbie, he was putting Herbie onto those go-go records. So even before Salt and Pepper did Shake Your Thing and all that, my mic sounds nice and I Take Your Man, Kid Roll, Kid and Play, all them records had very big chunks of mainly Trouble.
That's why it always bugs me out when I run into a New York cat that's around our age that doesn't know what go-go is.
That's crazy.
He's like, what are you talking about? And I'll be crazy. Yo, go-go music. I'm like, it's been in so many hip-hop records, but how can you not know what it is?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's what bugs me out.
It's funny, this kind of, and I'll make this brief, this goes back to what we started talking about. Go-go never caught on nationally. It's still a regional. Like if you go to DC right now, they still playing go-go like it's 83, 84.
Right.
But
absolutely,
it never caught on regionally. And the main reasons were it's 2 or 3 main reasons. One of them, I remember Big Tony from Trouble Funk told me, go-go is best to be enjoyed live, and he's right.
Absolutely.
Right. The other thing too is like what Brad was saying. The straight up funk go-go style, 3 or 4 records to that. Even the Saturday Night Live record where they had done Fourth Gear or Double Trouble, where the LL used for Rock the Bells. Those were like 2 and 3 album sets. So that music was to be enjoyed live. At that time, the format for radio was 3 minutes and 30 seconds for a song. Yep. Ain't no go-go song out there that's 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So it almost was never, it never commercialized. Where hip hop, the first rap records was 15 minutes, whatever, but they would always have a short version for the radio. Go-go ain't care about that. If you don't play it on the radio, it's fine. We still gonna go to Capitol Center. We still gonna go to wherever and do our thing. So again, go-go didn't sell out. So go-go
radio won't paying them anyway. Not like that. They was making more money live. Yeah.
So go-go remained the cultural thing. So the people in New York that know it, they know the breaks. They know like Knock 'Em Out Sugar Ray by EU, but they only know the break part. If you play the rest of the record, a lot of them cats, if it wasn't the DJs, they might say, well, what is that? They only know the little breakdown part because they were on those break compilations.
Right.
Even Ron Lawrence, who, like I said, who went to Howard, he said, "Oh, I didn't like go-go, but you couldn't deny that the breakdown parts were funky." And I get it. If you didn't experience go-go, like I love go-go because, you know, again, I was when I used to go to the they used to have these dances. It was so long ago they called it a disco. These had a disco up at the Westover Community Center, at Westover Hills Elementary School. And they would play they would play that whole long version of Drop the Bomb that Brad's talking about. And if you ain't experienced them records in that kind of way, even the first 2 Live Crew records, Throw the D and all them records, that's a cultural thing where a lot of New Yorkers didn't like Miami bass and stuff like that because they weren't exposed to it. And because of where we are, you know, this is a culturally rich area for different kinds of music. You know, we kind of know a little bit about everything.
Yeah, I mean, even LA, the early LA hip hop and stuff. Because you remember, 2 Live Crew, when they first came out, they was on a label out of LA. They were like what the first
they
one.
Were on Macola. They was on Macola Records, the same people that used to press up NWA's records.
Yeah, they was on there. They were from out of LA, and then Luke Skywalker started
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
that's what they were doing. So I mean, look, like I said, I did an interview with some people at a museum, not the Black History Museum, but a pretty big museum here in Richmond. And when they were talking about the Dirty South, Richmond being I said Richmond is actually not the Dirty South, it's the Mid-Atlantic. I said when we used to get service from record companies, they had us as the Mid-Atlantic region. Yeah, that's it. And I said that we're gonna, we want to get with you on some other things, and now we got a phone call back.
Well, we are the Mid-Atlantic. If you go back,
they didn't like the fact that I told the truth. And
well, look, if you go back, we talked about wrestling. If you remember Saturday morning, the wrestling was called Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling.
I was about to say the same thing. Yes.
And the logo was Virginia and North Carolina.
Boom.
And they used to be in the Coliseum literally once a month, man. Like,
Mid-Atlantic Wrestling.
Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling.
Yep, sure enough. That's facts. See, because that's where I first heard Mid-Atlantic was the wrestling joint.
Right.
I had never heard it
was. Right. And I didn't even pay attention to that part of it. But yeah, you're right. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. What are we going to do? Are we going to embrace it the right way or the false way? That's why I put that's why I did the documentary. But you had somebody out there, and I'm not going to call his name because I love this brother. And I ain't trying to do that. I ain't trying to go back and forth. I'm tired. I don't do back and forth no more in my older age. When he was asked, why hasn't somebody done a documentary on Central Virginia hip hop, 804 hip hop? I didn't expect the brother to say my name, but I'm working on one. Instead of saying one was done. And this person is in the documentary I did. And I discussed it with him, and I told him I didn't appreciate it. You didn't have to say my name, but just one was done. And my thing is, at least respect what I tried to do, and I've attempted to do, is just tell the story for the truth. It ain't going nowhere. If anything, it's just going to get bigger and bigger. And, I'm just going to start doing once I finish revamping it again, I'm going to start just doing local showings of it. I'm just going to just go around and pop-up places and show it. That's what I want to do.
The thing that's great, Brad, is that you have the professional cameras, and even cats don't even really even always use professional cameras no more. But you have it, and we still here to be able to document our stories. Because honestly, man, as I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about this, something as simple as me saying, it used to be called Mid-Atlantic, whatever, and somebody in the thing said facts and whatever, you have forgotten it or whatever. All the stuff that we're talking about now, if you realize, we are becoming the elders now. You said you were 60, me and the brother here at 55. Absolutely. Honestly, once we're gone, there's nobody that's going to remember that they wouldn't know that was called Mid-Atlantic Championship or anything we're talking about. Like when I talk about August Moon and his stable of record, that dude had 3 or 4 different record labels that he was putting rap records out.
In Richmond.
We are the last people who hold that information. Once we are gone, nobody's gonna know or care about that information. So that is really why I do what I do every day. When I say that the Beastie Boys License to Ill came out 39 years ago today, I ain't trying to be the know-it-all. I'm just reminding you because in a minute
somebody
it ain't gonna be relevant to people that's
absolutely,
our kids' age. Old school to them is gonna be something that's new to us.
Here's
So
the thing.
yeah.
Here's the thing too. Here's the thing. There's another story I heard with some a group of guys here, very well known group of guys here that are hip hop artists and very well known hip hop artists here in Richmond. They were recording at Master Sound down at the beach. I tell you, it was Lil Rock, Disorganized Union, and all of them. They were recording at Master Sound, Rob Alcher's place. These young boys were sitting down listening to them. You know who they were? Chad and Pharrell.
Wow.
Chad and Pharrell. Ask
That's
Rock
crazy.
about it. Ask Rock about it.
That's crazy.
Ask him about it. Yep.
That's
they were
dope.
sitting right
That's
in
dope.
there. So see, 757 gets all their props for going platinum and everything. Missy, Timberland, Pharrell and Chad, everybody else, and if I'm missing somebody that went platinum down there, fine. But Mad Skills is one of us. He's 804. So, and then like
D'Angelo was one of us.
One of us. So it's just like what he said when JayQuan was saying that, people were saying, for your show, why'd you do it in Richmond? Because he's from here. So now he's doing one for the 757. He's from here.
Yeah.
That's what he's supposed to do. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to do something.
Well, nobody would ask Missy why she did her last show at Virginia Beach or not.
Exactly.
Nobody would ask Pharrell why is he doing his last show in Virginia Beach or not.
Pharrell came up here to film his film.
Why he gotta, why you gonna ask Skills that? Like,
That's what I mean? Why you even ask that man
from
that?
Here. You want to see it? Come here.
And look, people can say what they want to say. They have a doggone suspicious love for Richmond. They do. All of them down there got a suspicious love for Richmond. Like I said, Pharrell came up here to do his film. I'm sorry it didn't come out. I would have liked to have seen it come out. Because
that joint ain't never come out.
No, they for some reason it's not. I don't know why they stopped production. I think they finished production and was getting ready to go to post, and all of a sudden they just killed it. I don't know why, but I would love to have seen that because they shot it right over there. They used to be called Jared Apartments, and it was Seven Gables. It's called something else now, right on the Burnham and 9 Mile Road. The apartment, he shot it over there because he said it looked like his place where he lived, where he grew up at. So I'm just like, I would have loved to have seen it. And stuff. And
that's some. I don't know what the difference is, man. Because I do get love inside water. The DJ showed me love. Shout out Jack Spade. That's my dude. He always show love, man.
DJ B, got to shout him out down there.
Yeah, yes, DJ B.
I love the 757.
Law, man. Yeah, absolutely,
I love
man.
the 757, but I
don't know why Richmond
doesn't
for
us.
Why we can't get
any love.
Why we can't get anything going out here, man? Not anything, not just going, but why it just can't continue. Everything that we start that builds up somehow ends up getting shut down, or I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm smiling because this reminds me of I remember me and Bravador and my man Divine and some more people sitting in the back of El Bravador's mom's crib over was it Idlewood at the time?
No, she lived on Wallace, which was parallel to Idlewood.
Right. We was having this exact same conversation, man. That was 30 some years ago. So
see, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and we've had it many times since then. So
this is a conversation it's been going on since back in the day, man. It's just like I don't understand what the difference in Richmond and them are.
I stopped trying to figure it out, bro. When I go to DC and do stuff at the Hip Hop Museum, or even when I go to New York, they people, JayQuan, we want to hear your story. How did you become the hip?
Yeah.
We know you the historian, but how did you start? And they found out I used to be, and they're so interested.
Well, you're working on it.
One thing that I do know is that not as far as us not being able to get stuff together and hold it, but the personal props that we get, a lot of times we're not going to get them because we from here. A lot of times people see it as like, they ain't gonna call me JayQuan. They gonna call me Jermaine. Oh, that's Jermaine. I went to Red School with him because they see it as like I ain't giving him no props. I used to sit I used to sit beside this dude in third grade. He's
you ran away.
You ran away.
You know what I mean?
Too close to it.
I'm gonna tell you what. When I learned that, when my son's mother, right, her family's from Oakland.
Yeah,
and this was back in like 89, 90. And I was like, oh shit, y'all from out there with Too Short at? I said, y'all see him around? He's like, man, Too Short, just regular dude, man. He be in the club every weekend. Cause like you said, you're too close to it.
Too close.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's not special.
And,
you know what I mean?
Oh man,
everybody likes something from somewhere else.
Yes.
Or something that they can't see all the time.
And
you know
that's
what I'm saying?
Yep. And that's why, even with D'Angelo, now everybody he was from here. And I'm not saying that we didn't give him love when he was here, but I distinctly remember him getting his first big award and he didn't shout Richmond out. And I didn't hold it against him because look, when you on an award show, you're trying to thank God and everybody else, you don't always remember your city. That's a very hip hop thing,
That's very
Biggie getting up and saying Brooklyn or whatever. I didn't hold it against him, but I distinctly remember being in the barbershop.
Yeah, I remember that too.
The next day, and they took Voodoo was out, and they had the Voodoo poster there. They took the Voodoo poster down, and they was just crapping all over D'Angelo.
Yeah.
But that dude represented here. The thing that I love that he did on his lady video, and I said this on a podcast right after he passed. That dude was in Southside Plaza. Now that might not mean nothing to us, but people from Southside, that he was at the CVS. And then dude was at the Westover Theater. There used to be it was a church when he shot, but they redesigned a little marquee and made it look like the Westover 99-cent theater. Me and Divine used to live in the 99-cent theater. We go in that joint first thing in the morning and watch The Predator and just sitting there and watch that joint 4 or 5 times. We just paid that 1.99. We lived on Westover Hills where that was, and for that man to put that in his video, he was a platinum selling artist. He represented Richmond to the fullest. I remember he was going to do an album called the James River.
He shot some of it over in Churchill too.
He did.
For lady, he went over to church on 23rd Street. 25th Street, I think he was over on.
Yeah, he did. And I remember he had an album that was never released that he was going to call James River. And all he did was talk about Richmond. So the fact that man passed away and Stevie Wonder came through here, and
we had a lot of people that weekend to come through here.
So
now I do remember now. Yeah, I remember the award show you're talking about, but I do remember an article in a magazine. I can't remember which magazine it was. This is around when he first came out, and it was talking about where he's from. I distinctly remember reading him saying from Richmond, and they asked him about Richmond. He was like, yo, Richmond is everything.
And I remember seeing him also after the award show. I also remember seeing him after the award show on a BET show. And they asked him where he was from. He said, I am from Richmond, Virginia. He did say that. So it's just like you said, it may have been a brain fart.
Man. It's a moment, man.
I mean, it could have been, man.
It could have been. Yeah, I didn't hold it against him, but yeah, man.
We hip hop, so we used to, Southside Richmond,
that's right.
What up, man?
That's right.
Terminal Ave,
that's a hip hop thing. That's a hip hop thing.
That is. I don't know, because think about it. How many R&B dudes that win awards that shout out their city or
precisely? That's what I'm saying.
Right, and to speak to that, I'm gonna tell you another artist that was from Richmond, was a big artist, and he would deny being from Richmond because they said where he was from. He said he was from Philly, and people
Frankie
in
Beverly.
Richmond, no, not Frankie Beverly. Frankie Beverly actually was from Tappahannock.
Okay,
but they're trying to say he was from Philly, but he spent a lot of time in Tappahannock.
Okay.
I know somebody, one of the teachers in Richmond Public Schools. I know she used to know his grandmother. And he grew up for the summertime, he would be in Tappahannock.
Okay.
But no, the person I'm talking about is Major Harris. Love Won't Let Me Wait.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that. Yeah, he was, people thought he was from Philly, yeah.
Yeah, they thought he was from Philly because, he was, Nat Turner's Rebellion and all of that he did. The thing of it is that he was in Philly doing everything, but they had interviewed him. I don't know if it was Soul Train or one of them, and he said he was from Philadelphia. He did not say Richmond, Virginia. And I remember Chip telling me people in Richmond were pissed off at him. And then
Hell yeah, man.
they were
It's
very
one thing
upset.
not to mention it, but then it's a whole other
To lie.
thing to claim a whole nother city. Like, yo,
Yeah.
Now, I remember looking at Soul Train, and I got to give props to Mr. Lonnie Liston Smith. He said, and I'm from Richmond, Virginia, right there on Don Cornelius was interviewing him and stuff, and he said it. So, you know, I don't know how I missed that dog on Soul Train show because I used to watch Soul Train because Shock Theater would come on after that, you know, and stuff with the Bowman Body.
It
You
just
know,
ain't never been
Wow.
cool. It
Bowman
ain't
Body.
never been cool. It ain't never been cool in the industry to shout Richmond out. You know what I mean? It's just always get shitted on. Like a friend of mine just got a major distribution deal for his project he putting out, and they going over the rollout, listening to records, what's gonna be the single and all this shit. And one of the A&Rs was like, "Yo, man, you shouting out Richmond a lot in the records, man. What's up?" And it irks me.
supposed to do that. Why?
Exactly.
What do you mean?
Nobody ever says anything when Jay-Z shout out Brooklyn in every
Brooklyn
other
like
record.
crazy.
You know what I mean? Why
crazy.
is it that when we shout out our city, and it irked me because I remember in the 90s shopping my deal, and the A&R looked me in my face, and I was about to punch him in the mouth when he said, "Yo,
Maybe
don't nobody
should've.
give a fuck about Richmond."
But don't
I said,
everybody
"What?
give a fuck
What the
about
fuck
you?"
say?
Yeah. I mean, look,
Yo, man,
a lot
it
of
just
people,
irked me.
a lot
And
of
it just
people,
irked me like, yo, that's why I go so hard to you know, rep it and shout it out. You know what I mean? Because it's like, yo, man, we are literally the underdogs. Nobody wants us to win, or don't nobody. I don't know what it is about here, being from here. You know
I'm
what I
gonna
mean?
say this.
It's like a double-edged sword because when you go in the game, when you get behind the curtain, they know it's a lot of talent here.
Yeah.
They know this. They'll tell
Yeah.
you to your face, "Oh yeah, man, Richmond, y'all got some dope producers and artists and blah 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 blah." But then for whatever reason, on the surface, they don't want that to be talked about though.
Jay,
It's like, what is the problem? It bugs me out, man.
Jay Star, maybe they scared. Maybe they scared. That's the
I
only
don't
thing I
know,
can think of.
man.
Maybe they scared.
Why,
I mean,
man?
that's the only thing I
Why?
can think of. That's the only thing I can think
Why,
of.
man?
I mean, man, look, why they scared? I don't know. But all I know is just like you said, the abundance of talent here. We should have done it years ago. We need to grab the bull by the horns ourselves, collectively come together and try to make
Absolutely.
something crack, and I mean crack good, to where not only you may have one or two people that can gain a contract of something or whatever, and a good contract, but we got to make it to where people are going to be doggone saying, "Oh, we're going to set up an office here in Richmond." That's what's got to happen. Just like they set up in Atlanta, they set up in Charlotte, you know, DC. You know, I mean, we look.
One major thing I will say is missing from that, because traveling around and JayQuan, maybe you can help me out. Goes back to what you said before. There's nothing here for people to come to.
Well, we got
industry people. If they set up shop, they want to go somewhere where there's some fly shit to do.
That's the problem. We don't have no infrastructure to support nothing.
We do not have. And Jay, I've been saying that for almost 20 years. We do not have the infrastructure for artists to blow from here.
Right.
Like in Atlanta, we don't have the infrastructure for the industry to come here for that to be able to be sustainable.
Right. You bring an industry person here to try to wine and dine them or whatever. Where you gonna take it to? You can't take everybody to Croker Spot.
It got.
And I'm not.
Thank you, my dude.
I'm not trying to shit. I'm not trying to shit on Richmond, but I'm just being honest. Like you can bring family here, and they'll be like, "Oh, what y'all do for fun? Where y'all nightlife at?" And I'm not saying we don't have any,
but they want fly shit. They want Miami shit, Atlanta shit, New York shit, LA shit, even Houston shit. They want fly shit.
Yeah, I mean,
because there's a lot of other cities like Virginia, like a Detroit or Cleveland, that got dope talent, but they're in the same spot we in. They don't have the infrastructure,
to be very transparent. I mean, we don't have a professional sports team. I mean, again, I'm not. Those things make it look like. How y'all the capital?
And that's why I felt like the casino would be good, because it would give something of an entertainment value for them to come here and do something and showcase their artists and maybe see some things and maybe say, yo, this might be a good place to set up shop. But when you have zero, bro.
It's
They're not coming to set up now.
We're a passing through. We always been a passing through area.
Passing through spot.
Somebody passing through on the political thing. Like I said, they stopped by Croker
pass
Spot
through on the highway to find a good soul food eatery place, go to Mama J's or something, and then keep it moving.
And get back on 95 and keep it moving.
Real talk, man. Real talk. We ain't got no fly shit to do here.
And that's a huge part of it. And it's been, like I said, when we had 2nd Street, and even when we had the part of Hall Street, at one point that part of Hall Street where August Moon was set up at, that used to be like, that was the black people's downtown. That was a long time ago. We no longer have any of that. We got some good suburban places, some good county places, but like the structure of your city. I was even thinking about that when I got invited by 2 different people to D'Angelo's funeral, and I rejected both of them. The second one I was going to do because it was to cover it for a newspaper, but I decided not to. I had a prior engagement and I almost canceled. But my point is, I said, well, I didn't know him personally. I knew of him. We went to the same schools. We recorded in the same studios, but I didn't know him. And I felt like it's going to be too much of a spectacle. I know that, Erykah Badu might be there and, the cat from the Roots, might be there and, Jesse Johnson. And when I Jesse Johnson from the time, I'd have loved to meet him, but I didn't want to intrude. My thing is, I found out later, Stevie Wonder was there. Like all these people were there. And the first thing I thought was like, I wonder, like, what hotel did they stay in? I'm not saying we don't have anything nice. I'm not saying that. We got Marriott's and stuff.
But you being honest, man, and that's the same thing I tell people, man. Like, people want, industry people want somewhere where they can ride around in their Ferraris and feel and park somewhere where it's cool at.
Yeah. And that's where the beach. That's where the beach. That's where the beach got us in some ways.
Exactly, bro.
That's where the beach got us in a couple ways, man. Because I remember just randomly being in Virginia Beach back in the early 90s, and just one of the cats from Stetson Sonic, I think it was D-Light or something. They ain't had no show or nothing around. He just ran past me on the beach. Like that just don't.
That's why I said back in the day when we did have a few things going on, people did come down here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And they killed it.
Yeah, they can. But then once all that's gone, you see what he was like, well, y'all ain't got that no more? Okay. I'm gonna go on down to Atlanta. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But they need ambiance. And that's why I tell people all the time, why we can't. I'm like, bro, we don't have, it's a desert out here. Ain't nothing fly to do. After you come out the studio, they want something fly to do.
Yeah.
They want
everything
somewhere where
closed.
they can get dressed up and put on their Versace and do something that fits how they look.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I tell you,
ain't nothing here that fit a Versace look.
Nothing
Ain't nothing here that fit a Maybach look.
Nothing.
Where you gonna drive your Ferrari to in Richmond, dog?
I tell you what,
think about that's being 100.
The one thing that people love that when they come here, and this don't fit into the Ferrari thing, but people that don't have Waffle House where they from, the first thing they hit me with is, "Hey man, where the Waffle House near here?" And I'm like, "It's 3 or 4 Waffle Houses up the street." But other than that, unless it's something they can't get in their city, we don't have.
But that's what I said. We did drive through spot for some soul food or some shit like that and keep it moving. I heard about Mama J's. Well, I heard about Croker Spot. Well, I heard about what? Okay, cool. Now let me get back on the highway and get my ass on and drive this Ferrari somewhere where I can show it off. Because I can't show it off in here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I want to ask you something, Stock. It's funny because I forgot you were Sherlock. When you said Sherlock, I was like, wow, I almost forgot. That was a minute ago.
He was Sherlock. I didn't know
that.
You
didn't know that?
One day.
I remember you called me and asked me that.
I never knew it, man. I thought it was another guy. I can't even think of who this guy was.
That was me.
But what I wanted to know from you, I know a little bit of your story. I never interviewed you or anything, and we got to actually make that happen. But
absolutely.
Like my man, my man is like Mark Green is my man, and I was just randomly talking to Mark Green one day.
My guy, yo, tell him I said what up, man.
I definitely will.
Mark was a big supporter, dog.
He told me about traveling with you and all this. I'm like, wow, I never knew,
Yeah.
But something that you said, something that somebody else said on one of my posts. The other day I put up the post with me and Chuck D, and Chuck was talking about the Billboard charts, and there was a cat that came on. and I don't like to disagree with people in my threads too much, but he came on, he wasn't disrespectful, but he came on and said, oh, Chuck wrong, blah, blah, blah. Then he kind of called you out and he was like, so, yeah, Style, you know, because the industry did you wrong, blah, 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 blah. And I heard that narrative. I don't know if you, I'll send you a screenshot of the conversation, but it was on my thread with Chuck. But the dude wasn't disrespectful to you, but he was like, Style, you know what it is because the industry did whatever to you.
I remember that. I remember that comedy love. I didn't know exactly what context he was trying to put it in as far as what Chuck D was saying. I didn't get the correlation of what Chuck D
I didn't
was
get
saying
it either because what basically Chuck was saying, well, you know,
pertaining to me. Yeah, because what Chuck D was saying wasn't about that.
Right.
From me.
Yeah, that dude.
But
yeah, that
industry,
dude. He got a. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, the dude got a way different context than what I got. Chuck was basically saying nobody's cultivated hip hop, so that's why it's where it is. And that dude was, on some conspiracy stuff saying, well, they don't want hip hop to be this and that. But the important thing to me was what he said to you when he said that the industry had done you wrong. I've never heard you speak that narrative directly, but because I don't know your complete history, as briefly as you can, what is your experience with the industry? Because I know when you did the record, talking about where you ended with digging up to Biggie and Tupac, I knew that, but I didn't know your whole whatever. And when I found the Mark Green piece, what was your trajectory in the industry? And if something was almost about to happen, why didn't it happen?
It's a lot of levels to that, bro. In a nutshell, for me at the time, I had moved to New York and was shopping a deal. This was like the late 90s, 97, 98, right? At this point, Skills had dropped maybe a year or two before and got through. But now, within that year and a half, 2 years, the game has changed. Master P, Cash Money, all these artists from the South are blowing up. So I'm coming in from Virginia, which they deem to be just down south. So, I'm in New York shopping this deal. Yo, your bars is crazy. Yo, blah, blah, blah. You from Richmond. Yo, they didn't know how to market or package that. You know what I mean? And it was wild to me because, again, Skills that came out a couple years ahead of me. Rage had already been out. These are Virginia artists. They spit, but now they are seeing like it became a thing where anybody from the South was expected to sound a certain way. You know what I'm saying? In their eyes. And from that part of my experience, and then being from Richmond was like a conundrum for them. Like, yo, how do we market this? You spit like you from up top, but you from down there, and Richmond is like a unknown, you know what I mean, to them. So it became frustrating. And then, so moving forward, when I actually break through on my own with the It's a Problem thing, that's a whole nother level. That I think that's what he was referring to, because I end up getting blackballed for doing the record. You know what I mean? So the record comes out. Initially, it's blowing up everywhere. Now, we didn't have no record deal, no money, no nothing. And the record literally is one of those things like out of a movie. You've been grinding for 10, 12 years, and then boom, you had this one record, and overnight, literally, is everywhere. 2 weeks, I'm getting calls from Hot 97 all over the country, getting booked, and it's crazy. And so labels start throwing me deals. I'm getting Universal, Sony, Death Row, Rap A Lot. Even speaking of MC Hammer, Louis Burrell, his brother started calling me, wanting to sign me, right? So boom. We going entertaining these offers, going back and forth New York, Universal, met with Bruce Cabone, and so what happens is, and I learned, I'm gonna take y'all the backstory later. Labels wanted to sign me, but as the record's picking up momentum, people start calling in, threatening to not allow their artists to associate with artists on the label because of what I've said about these. I done dissed every top rapper in the game. So people start putting calls in. Look, man, if you sign this dude, we ain't gonna let our artists associate or deal with your artists. You know what I mean? So the backlash comes in. And, you know, after the fact, years later, we hearing back from people who we met in the game. He's like, you know what happened, right? I was like, nah. He's like, look, dude, your record came out in 2004, the beginning of 2004, January. 50 had already ran 2003. Everybody had to sit down when 50 ran, right? You came in, think about it. How many artists you know had a record blew up worldwide with no marketing, no money, no major backing? They're looking at this. They calling around when the record's blowing up. They calling around. Who's this dude with? Who's he signed to? Who's backing him? Who's co-signing this guy? When they find out nobody, we got to shut this dude out. If he's doing this with no money, no label, no backing, what's going to happen when you sign and they plug you into the machine and put marketing dollars behind you? Everybody gonna have to sit down for a minute because I had a wave by myself with no money. You know what I'm saying? No marketing, no record label, no cosign, no nothing. So they knew, like, yo, we can't allow this. So that's when this phone call started coming in. Look, man, yo, y'all can't sign this dude. And I hadn't made any money for anybody at that time, so it was an easy kill. Like, yo, look, yeah, we just can't sign him. So the only people that were left was Suge Knight, Jay Prince, that was still willing to take that chance. Now, Suge, he was still in prison. So it was like, yo, I can't rock with that. And so I rolled with Jay Prince, and Jay Prince stood with me, man. You know what I mean? He showed love, man. Yeah, man.
I'm glad that worked out. I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah, definitely, man. And, you know, that's how I met with me and Bushwick got to be cool. Actually, Scarface is the one that told him that, yo, y'all better sign this dude. You know what I mean? And Scarface, shout out to Face, man. Good dude, man. But so when he says this game did me dirty, I think he's talking about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for me, I look at it from both sides. You know, on the business aspect, I can't blame him for, you know, I can't blame people for saying, yo, we got to block this dude out. Because, yo, he's doing, because even Bruce Cabone, the head of Universal, told me, he said, man, your record is getting more spins than records we're paying radio to play by already established artists.
So you had physical product that you had pressed up?
We didn't have anything, bro. I'm trying to tell you. We had nothing. We put out a record. We gave the CD to Lonnie B. And this is before social media. We gave the CD to Lonnie B. Lonnie B didn't want to play it. Shout out to Lonnie, man. Lonnie called me. He was like, "Stop, give me something else, man." He's like, "Please, bro." He's like, "Man, please give me something else." I said, "Lonnie, man." He's like, "This record scares me, dog." I said, "I feel you." I said,
"That's why they don't come to Richmond. They're scared." I said it.
Yo, man. He was like, "This record scares me, dog." He was like, "Give me something else, style." You know, I play, because Lonnie always show love. He would play records.
Right.
He was like, "Just give me." I said, "Lonnie, if you don't play this, I'm gonna give it to somebody else, and they gonna play it. So you might as well be first." So that night, that Sunday, he played it. And it was crazy because before he played it, he said this whole disclaimer before it, like, the views and comments of this record are not
do not represent, yeah.
And I love that because I was like, "Oh, you making this record sound bigger than it is." I love that. Yeah. So, but then after that, Foot and That played it the following week and blew it up on Power. And bro, like I said, literally 2 weeks later, I'm getting calls all over the country to get booked. We hadn't printed up no physical copies. We hadn't done anything, man. We were behind the ball. We were late trying to catch up, printing up stuff. You know what I mean? But it was already gone. Right. That's why I said they felt like, yo, who's this guy? Because it's in New York. It's in their home. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what pissed them off too. Who's this motherfucker from Virginia coming up here talking about all our artists? You know what I'm saying? So that was the thing. And so they was like, yo, we gotta, that's why nobody, and rightfully so, they were smart enough, everybody was smart enough not to respond. Because they knew if Because bro, let me tell you something. I had rhymes for everybody. I was waiting. Anybody, anybody, whoever, the smallest rapper on the board mention my name, I was gonna kill it and go through the roof. They knew if we mention his name, it's gonna go through the roof. It's already everywhere.
And it definitely would have been a problem.
Yeah, if anybody had mentioned my name, it would have been crazy. Because I mean, we in Germany, I get to this day, I get DMs from the Arctic Circle, Australia,
Wow.
New Zealand. We was in middle school when we heard your record. It was a kid online that did this is about 15 years ago. It was a kid online who did a little video of himself, and I think it sounded like he was German or something, rapping It's a Problem. He had to be about 8-10 years old. Damn. It was everywhere. It was mind-blowing, bro. It was everywhere. And like I said, dude told me, he's like, yo, man, imagine these people looking at this and saying, yo, if this dude get $1 million behind him, not even that, and they plug him into the machine,
it's a problem.
It's over. Problem. This wave gonna be crazy. We're gonna have to sit down. We got to step this dude out. And I mean, I ain't mad at him,
Look,
to me, I look at it like this. That record did and stood for everything that I believed about hip hop from day one. You make the right song at the right time. Anything's possible, dog. We did it with no money. And that record made me achieve everything my 15-year-old self wanted to do. All I wanted to do was be in a magazine, go on tour, have a record deal, have a record that people liked and respected. I done checked all my checklists from 15 years old when I started rapping, man. So I can't be mad at none of that, man.
Well, we ain't mad at it. We're very proud of it. We're very proud of you, man.
I appreciate it.
You're one of the icons in Richmond and Central Virginia. You're
thank
one of the icons.
Thank you,
man. Ain't no doubt about it. But listen, y'all, this has been Bravador Live, everybody, and I got to shut it down, everybody. We're gonna do this again. We're gonna do this again.
We gotta do it, man.
It's a lot more we gotta talk about too, because
fun, man.
I was just getting around, but then I looked, I'm like, oh wow, we've been on here 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours,
yeah.
So I gotta thank Stan Brooks. I gotta thank Sty for being here. I gotta thank you, JayQuan, for being here. But we're gonna do this again, y'all. We're definitely gonna do this again.
And listen, man, I want to thank both of you guys for everything y'all do, man. I learned so much from each one of you guys every time I turn around, man. JayQuan, man, keep repping it, man. You are hip hop, dude.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, we gotta.
And Brad, you already know, brother. I can't wait to see you at the joint, man, with Chuck Rock and everybody.
Yeah, that's gonna be great. And let me mention that real quick too. I know Mr. Melody gonna get mad at me if I don't mention that.
Yeah, gotta plug
December 27th, everybody. December 27th. They're calling it the Autumn Festival in the winter, but that's fine because Chubb Rock is there. Also, Kwame is there. You got the Z-Rock crew and Junior Funk Machine there. You got Chaco there. You got DJ MG there. You got who else? I don't have it in front of me. Just everybody. Illa Tongue's gonna be there. Cuddy Speaks is gonna be there. I mean, it's gonna be a hip hop festival, everybody. So you definitely want to be there, and it's gonna be at Military Retirees on Sled Street, which is right beside Chamberlain Avenue, right beside Sugar's Crab Shack. So y'all come on over there on December 27th, 2 days after the Christmas holiday. Still being the holiday, but come on through there. And it starts at 9 o'clock, 9 to 2. It's going to be hot, y'all. It's going to really, really be hot. And it's going to be a great thing. Jay, I know you're going to be there and stuff. And then Stein, I know you're going to be there. Yeah,
absolutely.
Everybody, I want to say this, and then I'm going to close this out because as a matter of fact, I got to be somewhere. And I'm late. But I'll say this. We have to put differences aside, and we have to support the classic hip hop artists that are here in Central Virginia. You got to do it. I don't want to keep hearing about they ain't got this, they ain't got that, or if my friend ain't going, I'm not going, or if the group I know that ain't going, they ain't not going, I'm not going. Come on, y'all. That's one of the issues that we're having here. Stop clicking up everything. It's fine to be in your group of people, but don't Like, oh, but the clique I'm in, we don't go to that. Come on, it's entertainment. That's what we do. Folks got to eat. You know what I'm saying? Just come on in and support it. We'll support you on what you do. Same thing. Look, that's all I got to say about that. Just come on out. Let's have a good time on December 27th at the Military Retirees Club, the Autumn Hip Hop Festival. Kwame, Chubb Rock, Z-Rock Crew, you know, Cuddy Speaks, host of others, Chaco. It's going to be great, y'all. It's definitely going to be great. Reach out to Funk Motor Entertainment for more information on that and tickets, and you can go right there and you can get your tickets. All right? Look forward to seeing y'all there. Brothers, thank y'all for being here again. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, bro.
Let's do it again real soon. Let's do it again.
Sir.
All right.
All right.
Bravador Live, everybody. Thank y'all
Peace.
for being here. Peace and blessings to
Later.
everyone.
Peace.
Enjoy. One love.
All right.
Toughest